And to that piece of lieutenant that's always on his podcast, bash us, him.
Attention to roll call.
That's right. Good morning, everybody. 8:05 live Eastern Time. Of course, Wednesday. Usually Wednesday we have a single guest opportunity to memorialize a career or speak to politics. Today, I think it's going to be an awesome vibe for you. Check it out. We have Tyler and Mike, awesome guys, really become great friends to our network here. These guys have their own several podcasts. Actually, they have Antihero, and I love this show. These guys have a take no shit attitude, which is awesome. I really appreciate it. I've been on that show numerous times, and so has John. And we've built a great relationship and a great network with cops throughout this entire country, which include Tyler and Michael here, who are in Florida, based out of Florida. We talk about offline. We spoke about different opportunities and different advantages and disadvantages in law enforcement when it comes to New York in comparison to Florida. And I think you're going to like these guys. They're awesome. Again, remind us a lot of John and myself. We're taking the truth, telling the truth and taking a stand with moral integrity and taking a stand against issues that are fraudulent. I've really put them in a position of getting trolled. So good morning, everybody. We appreciate it. You're going to like these guys. They're awesome. We speak to them quite often. And as I said before, seriously, we built a network together where we have friends throughout this entire country now that have went from cops to podcasters. And I never thought I'd be a podcast. I'm sure you guys probably thought the same thing with me.
No.
The podcasters. So awesome. You're going to love these guys. So John, good morning. Let's introduce Tyler and Mike. And John, I'll let you start first, and then let's get into it with these fine gentlemen. So Tyler, Michael, thank you so much for being here. You're going to love this story. These guys are great. And I think it's awesome, the name of their show, right? Antihero. So you have to ask yourself, like, cops often get villainized. But what's the difference between being a villain and an anti-hero? So, John, good morning. Let's jump into it, brother.
Yeah. What's up? Morning, fellas. Appreciate you guys joining us. I was honored to be on your guys' show. Something we've been watching the Antihero for a while, so we've seen your whole rise. I mean, I think it's awesome. So Tyler, why don't you tell everybody about this? There's probably people on here that don't know who Tyler Hoover is. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how the whole Antihero thing formed? Because I think we all have unique stories, right? Like same thing. Eric just said it. Like, if you would have asked me 4 years ago if I'd be doing a podcast, I would have laughed in your face.
Yeah.
And, like I would have been like, yeah, all right, bro. I don't even know anything about social media. And now here I am on social media doing a podcast. Like, let's start with you, Tyler. Like, could you walk us through?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm the more talented one of the show. So, and that comes with
you're the better looking one too, Tyler.
Yeah.
Two lies and a truth. So somebody's gonna tell the truth here in a minute.
See, I told you guys, Tyler's very shy. You'll see it right away.
No, I'm an Army vet, deployed to Iraq in 2008, got out, went to college, joined the police academy, and then I was a street cop for 10 years. And I always had a voice, so I'd be the guy on roll call, like, what the fuck is going on? I'm a second generation cop, so I got to see what police work was like with my old man when I was a kid. I do ride-alongs when I was like 13, and I got in 2016, right as things are starting to change, like right before all the Trayvon Martin and Eric Garner and all that stuff really kicked off, and all those sequence of events really changed police work. So I adapted pretty well, but at the end of the day, I was just too I just couldn't sit back and take it anymore. I mean, I'm telling you, sitting in roll call, like, are you guys fucking retarded? Like, you guys would eat a shit sandwich if it was brought down by admin. We have no sergeants anymore. We have nothing to quote Mike, my co-host, I started realizing the job was dead. And so I just I started a podcast interviewing, it was really when we started at the time, it was very, it was a law enforcement podcast. We just talk about issues in the community, issues that are plaguing us as cops. And then we kind of took it off from there. And, now that we're a broadcast, we're more of like a radio show. We cover all kinds of topics for first responders, veterans, and blue collar dudes that, we're both Christian, and, so I think our values really feed into our show, and we're also just really funny and retarded. So
Tyler, some of the guys in the chat, they're asking what departments you work for, if you could let them know.
Yeah, so I started in Volusia County, Florida, which is the Daytona Beach area. And then I moved over to Orange County, which is the Orlando area for, they have way better money. But in Florida, counties really compete with the major cities. So up in the north or in other places of the country, if you tell people you're a deputy sheriff, they're like, we work the jail. But in Florida, the sheriff's offices are very highly funded. They're very competitive. They compete with the major cities in their area for manpower and resources and stuff like that. So I was a deputy, and I tell everybody, we were in control of the areas that the city didn't want. Like the shitty parts of Orlando, like the shittiest parts is where the deputies went because the city of Orlando didn't want it.
And then, Mike, what about you, brother? Where'd you get your start? I know you also run Copville as well, besides the Antihero.
Yeah, but let's start out with the real fact. I was born in Suffolk County, so I'm fucking real. I'm not some redneck fucking hillbilly from Virginia or fucking Florida. New York fucking football giants right here, buddy. True to the fucking blood. So I was born in Suffolk County. I grew up in South Jersey, and then so I'm one of the boys. I'm really one of the boys. But I moved down to
pretty quick. I grew up in Jersey, but anyway, I'm one of the boys.
Where in South Jersey? I love South Jersey. I'm there every summer.
I grew up right outside Ocean City is where I grew up. But I'm a New York fan because my mom's from Hackensack, so I grew up. My mom was from the north. I moved down to Florida in '93. I was on the other side of Tyler. I watched my dad go to jail all my life and thought, man, that doesn't seem like a really cool thing to do. So, joined the Army, just like Tyler. Joined the Army in 1996. Did 3 years. Came out, became a cop in Indian River County Sheriff's Office down here in Florida, which is just about an hour and 20 minutes southeast of Orlando on the beach, about 200,000 people. And I had a pretty normal career, narcotics, all the cool stuff, made SWAT later in my career. But I also got to that point where Tyler was when I got promoted. When I got promoted to sergeant and I got bought behind the Wizard of Oz curtain and really saw what the fuck was going on in these meetings and these supervisor meetings, I was like, these fucking guys are nuts. And I started to be very outspoken. And I got put in an IA for a bullshit fucking traffic stop use of force and demoted. And that's what started the Copville page. I was like, you know what? I'm going to start making memes about this fucking nightmare profession in this agency. And it caught on really fast. And then I met Tyler in a SWAT school and he had no idea I was the Copville page. And eventually we had that conversation and here we are, two best friends that anyone could have.
Could you guys could you guys tell me, because listen, first of all, the shorts that you guys put out, if anybody if you guys, you got to take a look, right? Antihero, you guys put out awesome shorts, and the stuff you put out from Copville, man, is super cool. I appreciate it, love it. But could you tell me, right, because it's such a catchy name, right? Antihero. And you watch old shows like The Shield, right? They often called the main character, he was kind of considered like the anti-hero. But cops are often villainized. So what is the difference between a cop being a villain and an anti-hero? Like what's the premise for that name? Like, is there what's the symbolism behind that? If you guys can tell me.
Yeah, I mean, I got really lucky with the name. First off, I'll be honest. Like it wasn't taken, used at all. It's such a broad name. But I mean, that kind of, at the time, I thought it was just me as like an anti-hero personality. And an anti-hero is essentially a non-perfect man or imperfect man with great and good intentions. His intentions are good, but what he does to push out that good and do good kind of fucks him up. And, all the bad that he has to push through will affect him. I'm not perfect. I struggled with alcoholism. That's just the tip of the spear of my imperfectness.
Still does. Every Thursday night. Tune in every Thursday night. You'll see the struggle.
No, this is going to be fun, man, because you know what? Listen, honestly, Tyler, what you said is really where I wanted to go. And because it's such an honest answer. That's what people don't realize is that cops are human. Cops feel, right? Just like, which is such an awesome movie, right? With, what's that? End of Watch, right? When he in the beginning of the movie, when he's like, listen, I feel, I touch, I breathe, I bleed. You're a real person. Like, cops make mistakes. They expect cops to be these perfect human beings that don't make mistakes, that don't walk through life. And it's just not true. They want to, and that's why I think the name Antihero has a lot more symbolism than you think. I think.
Can I be clear though about the anti-hero thing? I thought I was joining a Taylor Swift fucking club. When I saw Antihero, and Tyler called me and said, "Do you want to be on Antihero?" I brought my Swiftie bracelets and my playlist. and I was duped into this shit, and now I'm stuck here. So I thought I was getting into a Taylor Swift club, and I was wrong.
Yeah, and we compete with a lot of like eat your Wheaties and take your vitamins guys, like Superman. Like if anything bad about them was ever portrayed, their image would be destroyed. And you know, and we're just not that, dude. We're regular dudes that we're military and law enforcement, and we're no different than anybody else. And I'm not afraid to tell you my downfalls at all.
Yeah, that's an important part of our show.
But I think that's the thing that, like, you know, like I think all of these shows, like all these cop shows that are coming out, not all of them. I think you guys align a lot with us because we kind of pull the curtain back that cops are human. Your bosses aren't these heroes. You know, they're cowardly. They're worse than the people that they're going after. You know, especially when you look at New York. You know what I mean? Like you know, me and Eric talk often. You know, I have more respect for criminals most of the time because I'm like, yeah, kid doesn't even know any better. He grew up without a father. He had no options in life. At least he knows who he is. At least he's true to himself. You know what I mean?
And he's true to you too. He'll look you right in the face and tell you what he thinks and what he's going to do to you.
One of my better friends that I ended up with after 23 years of law enforcement was a guy that I was involved in his case that went to federal prison, got out, and actually stuck up for me when the cops were trying to run me over, and he knew the truth. So one of my top 5 friends is a fucking former federal inmate that is more reliable than most of the cops I worked with.
So what do you guys think? And like, if you could answer one at a time, like Tyler, what do you think are the biggest issues plaguing law enforcement today? Like me and Eric talk about it, and it really is always the facade. It's the DEI. It's all of this insane legislation, and it's expecting cops to be perfect. But what is it that you guys see, like from your point of view?
I just think it's admin. I used to say it was a mixture of admin and the public wanting to see their sausage get made and be judgment people at Monday morning watching the news. But I think the public is even starting to slowly, I don't know about New York City, but in general, I think the public is starting to like sway back to supporting law enforcement majority, but it's the fucking admin everywhere. And we hear about, I think Mike's got a list and he's at 9 departments throughout the country that are good admin to work for. So we do the same thing. Mike vowed, like, okay, you guys want to sit here and say we're cynical and all we do is talk shit? Well, I'll tell you what, I will document the departments that you guys tell me are good because we want to promote those. We want to promote good leadership, but it's admin. The same dudes that were out there kicking skulls on curbs and, you know, doing all the craziest shit in the world are now writing you up for the most minute things like a dip or saying fuck on camera. And this is the admin, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Mike,
I go admin, but I also go the pussification of the job. Due to the politics, due to the leaders, due to admin and guys like he just said that were kicking skulls in 25 years ago, telling you, oh my God, you said fuck on a call. And then this new generation, and I hate shitting, there's a lot of good young cops. I'm not shitting on all of them, but this new generation didn't drink from the hose, didn't play outside and 3 miles from their house on the bikes. They've never been punched in the face, and now they want everything right now. They don't want to train. They don't want to learn to shoot. They don't want to study case law. They don't want to do all those things, but they want to be a detective in 4 months. They want to be in this position in 6 months. And admin's too pussy now with DI and everything else to actually discipline these kids. And I think you have a generation of cops that are being trained on power DMS through computers and not being actually out doing the job. And they've lost, to me, I say it all the time, like, you're out of touch. That's one of my best posts. They're out of touch with reality. It's a complete failure of the system.
And I think Mike saying case law is, I argue back with Mike a lot and with a lot of topics. And case law, to me, you shouldn't need a fucking master's degree in law to be a street cop. General orders used to come out like in my department, like 9 of them a year, right? Where they kind of rewrite policy and you got to go to Power DMS to learn it. It's like 14 a month now, everywhere you go. And I can't, you know, and the people we're pulling from to go out there and do the job might not be people that are really, really invested in following case law. I mean, in 2026, it was different in 1990. Like, case law wasn't as, and every year, just like population goes up per capita, case law changes more and more and more and more and more because more things go through court. And it's just becoming so to me, the pressure of being a cop is more and more and more. And look at our hiring pool; it's less and less and less and less and less. So that, to me, it makes no sense.
Recipe for disaster.
Yep, you guys make awesome points. And you know what's interesting, right? Because here we are in New York. We talk about all the flaws in New York City, right? And a lot of flaws that we talk about, you're talking about it happen in Florida, right? The emasculation of law enforcement. We talk about it often in blue cities, right? And here, you're talking about the emasculation in Florida. So what's interesting to me is, right, could you guys answer this? Like, what is your take on this? What would you tell an NYPD cop? Because we got a lot of New York City cops who are leaving and they head for Florida, right? And I think they think that Florida is the promised land. And when I hear from you guys, like, the same issues that we're having in New York City seem to be coming out in Florida from you. You know, when I hear from you guys. So, are New York City cops that are leaving for Florida, are they being sold a bag of goods that it's a better job there, or is it a better path for them? Because a lot of New York City cops are sold this idea: go to Florida. They actually appreciate you more. It's a better job. And what I'm hearing from you is the same failures in leadership, the same emasculation of law enforcement. What are you guys' thoughts? I mean, is it because a lot of the guys are leaving, right? You get less pay in Florida. There's no unions. Are they being sold a bag of goods?
Yeah, I mean, it's like anything. You know, you got young cops that don't care about anything but doing the job, right? That's what we want. I don't really. I mean, you need to be smart about your retirement, but your first year on the job, you really don't need to be worrying about some of the things. But NYPD, I would just say to a young NYPD cop, remember why you're there. Because the NYPD will always be the NYPD, no matter who's fucking running it to the ground. That what I would call a brotherhood is still there. You can't kill the NYPD, the heart of it. When you leave that, yeah, you'll get your take-home car. You know, one of my buddies, from what he was like, he sat in his first car and he's like, I was like, what's wrong with you? And he's like, I've never had a car before. I don't think I've ever been in a cop car. He was a cop in NYPD for 4 years. And so, yeah, there's a lot of bells and whistles here, but you know, like Mike said, there's no union. There's no, if you're fired, the union can try to get your job back, but the key word is try. If the sheriff or chief wants you gone, you're gone. So,
and I would say that I think it's, if they have some moderate brains, they're not just morons. If they're good cops, you can come down here, I think, be more successful than there, because I think we're behind. We don't have the politics, the crazy politics of New York. We don't have that crazy yet. We're still a red state. We do pretty well with that. We have a good governor and probably a good governor to follow him. So there are some good areas. It's not the promised land. It's not going to be great. And if you end up, I know guys down here, you end up on one list from the agency down here in Florida, it's just as small. They're a bunch of hicktown rednecks. A lot of these guys, you get shit at one agency and they're going to call around. You're never going to get a job. Where I can see up in New York, it's so many people. You could probably leave NYPD, go get a job at another agency close by. You're not going to have as many problems here. If you get fucked in Florida, you're not getting another job in Florida. It's a small area. They're going to call around and, blacklist you. But I would still say, I think it's better than probably what they're dealing with up there. If you can financially make it and come down here, I would still say we're better than that up there.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with New York is, like, what I always talk about, it's like our admin or our executives that are on the top of the food chain in the New York City Police Department, they're like they're politically appointed, right? They're part of that insane political establishment. And then, like, just what I've noticed in Florida is that whatever the way the world is going, like the world was going woke in 2020, 2021, 2022. You know, I moved down because of COVID. I mean, we were basically locked down. I couldn't eat in restaurants. I was getting kicked out of my job. I couldn't go work anywhere. My kids couldn't go to school because I wouldn't take a vaccine. And then I when I came down here, I instantly saw it. And a lot of the sheriffs, not all of them, because, you know, there are some good sheriffs. I like the guy TK Waters in Jacksonville. But some of these guys I heard pushing the same bullshit of the world. Oh, you know, it's great here. You should join. We're a diverse department. I'm like, does that mean that you're a good department? Like, what does that? What do you mean you're a diverse department? And you know, and like I heard a lot of the bullshit coming from whatever they thought was the flavor after, you know, post George Floyd. Like, would you say like the politics of each sheriff is different? Like, you obviously, I mean, to me, I still say, even though the politics is horrible in New York, their benefits are insane compared to coming down to Florida. And, you know, we talked about it a little, if you guys could elaborate on it. Just when you go down to Florida, like, you could literally in some portions be fired for nothing. Dude, you were demoted for a use of force. If you like, How long were you a sergeant for when you were demoted?
So they pulled the fast one on me. This is how Florida works. So you guys, so I know you have a strong union. This is where the guys that like the union won't want to come here. I was promoted, and the incident occurred like 3 weeks before my year. They didn't initiate the IA till 2 months after my year. So then they investigated me 6 months as a sergeant, never put on admin leave, never took my gunner badge. I continued to work as a street crime supervisor, United States Marshals Task Force, Fugitive Task Force member, and SWAT member. No problem. June, I walk in, you're demoted. Not only demoted for the allegation, but the incident occurred a month or 2 weeks before your probation, so you can't fight it. That's the weird shit that happens down here, where they circumvent the law. And the FSA down here, which is the Florida Sheriff's Association that controls all the sheriffs, they have deep pockets. They're the union for the sheriffs. They will go to war with you. You can't get enough money to go against the FSA. Even if you back them in a corner, they'll just pay them out, get rid of them. So it's almost like backwards. The union for the sheriffs to fight the guys is way stronger than any union down here. So that's something you have to take into consideration. You end up on the wrong side down here, there's no big NYPD union to come save you. You're on your own.
Like that would have never happened to you in the NYPD.
I know.
You would still be a sergeant. Yeah. And there was no criminal charges, right? Like if there was criminal charges in New York, you're fucked.
Well, they started out with a bunch of criminal charges and initially just threw the book at me, and then slowly that one they tried to say I choked the guy, absolutely insane, use of force expert that testifies over the nations, like no, it's not even close. Then it went down to like they didn't like the arrest. Well, then when they lost the choking, they added like a code of ethics on top, like the caveat. We've had guys commit crime. We've had guys sexually assault women on duty. Like we've had guys, really bad cops. No one's ever been charged with code of ethics in Antihero County. Michael Dilks is the first one ever, because they're like, well, we lost the big charge, which we were going to charge him with illegally choking the guy. So let's now add something that is a group 3, which is our highest level. And then basically, what can I do? And there's not, the union just went, good luck, man. Sorry. And then private attorneys in Florida, that's another thing to consider. Private attorneys in Florida are not suing an agency. They're not doing it. So you're on your own from that point forward.
So, that's a benefit I often talk about, right? The NYPD, before the disciplinary matrix, so they had this thing commenced in 2021. It was called the disciplinary matrix, where now there's a lot more things that you can be terminated for or face potential termination for infractions or alleged infractions in the NYPD, which before that, pretty much you had to kill someone in the middle of Times Square to actually get terminated. But right now that's changed. However, it still sounds like there's a lot more job security in New York City than there is in Florida. But yes. Could you walk us through and tell us what is the due process like, right? So what did that take to actually demote you? Because in the NYPD, we often argue due process, but it seems like it's far worse in Florida. Like, what is that process? Someone's terminated.
So for
could they terminate you in one day?
They could. So what happened for me was I got served the old, what's the catch-all? Conduct unbecoming, right? I get served with a generic conduct unbecoming, January 5th of 2023, random. And I'm actually going to Alabama that day to do an active shooter instructor class on my own thing, drive up there. I get served with it for 3 months. I don't hear a word. I don't get called in. Nothing happens. Just everything's nothing. I'm doing my job. They bring me in for my interview. And like I said, post-interview, they add a charge of the code of ethics. And then it sits for another 2 months. Just nothing. Every day at work, you have no idea what's going on. No updates. Union doesn't care. And then I get a message that one day that says, hey, be in the deputy chief's office or be in the undersheriff's office Tuesday at 10 a.m. I walk in, they go, hey, man, you're demoted. And not only demoted, but you didn't make probation. So you can't even fight it. And here you go. Good luck. I'm like, that's it. Wow. There's at that point forward, I'm a white male, if you guys didn't notice. So there's nothing else for me to do. There's no recourse. There's no, so you make a meme page and start your own business. That's what the recourse is.
Become a podcaster.
Become a podcaster. That's your backup plan at that point. But that's literally
I tell Mike all the time, like, man, if they only knew they created their own villain, like that's
why I started the page. Yeah. I started the page about 3 weeks after shortly after the demotion. I was like, this place is fucked up. Like, I started making memes. I'm like, and I'm sending the guys at the agency and they're like, bro, this shit's funny. So I sent it to a couple meme pages and they're like, hey man, you should think about starting a meme page. I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck that means. Like, what is a meme page? And then I started it and it turned into this. So, later on I get fucked again, years later when I ended up quitting. And They had no idea that I had this whole thing behind me. And now I make an episode a week about how fucked up they are. So I'm sure they're sitting there at some point going, man, we probably should just left this guy in the fucking office alone and let him keep working.
That's pretty funny, right? Because we, John and I often say the same thing. It's like, you don't like us speaking the truth, but you created this, right? You didn't support me. I was coined as the most complained cop. I was attacked by overzealous civilian complaint review board. And the PBA is actually right now at the point where they're suing the civilian complaint review board because there are people confirmed investigators that have a complete bias and disdain for policing who have been observed at protests and their social media pages completely anti-cop. And, John stood on moral integrity and said, I'm not taking this vaccine. And so and they allowed him to retire and never supported him. So you created this. It's the same thing with you guys. It's yeah, man. It's just
one of the most important things, like Tyler touched on this earlier, is our ability to tell you our mistakes up front. All these administrators, all these guys that are crooked, all those NYPD guys, I know they're taking money. I know they're paid out. They are. We all know about the judges and all that. Nobody will come on a show though and say, here's everything that happened to me. I got demoted. I got caught using steroids. Like, I was investigated by the FBI and DA at one point, cleared. Most people are going to try to hide that. These politicians try to hide that. But in order to be transparent, say, we're the regular dudes, we're the normal people. Here we are. Here's everything. Here's the book. You can talk. You don't have to Google it. I'll tell you everything about me. And then I'm going to tell you why those experiences lead to my ability to understand things and know how these things are working, because you're not going to have an aha moment or a gotcha where all these administrators, all these politicians are hiding behind, how nasty they are and all the stuff they get away with. And if they ever got outed, they'd probably have you killed if you got close to trying to, really out them. I don't doubt it. There's some things I'm sure these guys are hiding that was worthy of murder, and they don't want to do that. So we are, when I say we're the anti-hero, we're the counterculture. We're going to tell you, here's what we did, and here's why we have the experience to talk about this stuff.
What do you guys think about use of force, though? Because I see you guys cover a lot of police use of force. And like me and Eric came on like right after September 11th, 2001. And I feel like it was a completely different job to what it is now. It's like a completely 180. I felt like we were supported. We used necessary force when we had to, and that was not like a big deal. And now in today's day and age with body camera, it's basically like ESPN every job, and you have analysts that never did what you do, and they're looking at you. That's like, and they're like, all right, I think that, the third punch was good, but the fourth punch, I don't really like that one. And I don't really
try not to do that. Sometimes we do that.
We do it too. We do it too, because but we're trying to give a real perspective from people who have been in the street, as opposed to some idiot who on the news that just graduated college and he's butthurt because he doesn't like watching someone get punched in the face. You know what I mean? Like, what do you guys think changed in policing and police use of force? Like, why all of a sudden, like, is it like, what happened to Mike? Would it, like he said, it would have never happened. The guys that did it to him probably did a lot worse than whatever the hell they saw on that camera 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And yet, all of a sudden we became, look, we want you to go out there and do your job. We want you to go out and get guns. We want you to go out and get these bad guys, but nobody better come in hurt. Nobody better have hurt feelings. Like, when did that change? Like, when did you guys notice policing, like, fundamentally change?
I think honestly, it was politics, our federal government moving the way it did, but a little mixture of body cam in there. I'm a huge advocate. I do not like body cams. Mike loves body cams. Body cams allow the public to, you wouldn't go to McDonald's if every morning you saw the farm where they took the animal. You just wouldn't eat it. You're just like, this is disgusting. But you've been eating McDonald's your whole life, because when you need a meal, McDonald's is there. And so I hate comparing police work to McDonald's, but it's the same thing. And it's also authority. When you were growing up, you don't like your dad's, you don't want to see your dad struggle. You don't want to see your dad's downfalls. You don't want to see your dad in trouble with your mom. It's authority. You're supposed to see the authority side. And so now we get to see all these cops, and we get to undermine them as society and go, I don't know if I agree with that. Well, it's not your choice. And my dad, much like, we talk about this, black kids were told by their black parents, don't fuck with the police. We're worried about you. My dad would tell me that, and he was a cop. Don't fuck with the police. They're not your friend. They're not Mr. times have changed, and that's good, and that's okay too. But I didn't walk up to a cop and start talking to them. They're authority. I wasn't scared of them, but I grew up knowing that those guys fight bad guys and take bad guys to jail. It's not their job to talk to me. And so I think, my opinion, that's where it all went to shit.
Yeah, and as an advocate of body cam, I also go back to what Tyler said, though. Administration got soft. Like, policing is ugly, and it's not always going to be pretty what the body cam shows, but you have to look at people and go, hey man, this is what we did, this is why we did it. And you're right, you can't get my IA, they broke down to the 10th of a second when they tried to get the chokehold put through. At 102.03, his arm appears to be here. It wasn't designed for that. So you can't go that crazy, and you have to stick up for your guys and go, hey, it's ugly. Use of force is always going to be ugly. It's never going to be pretty. And then I'm guilty of it a little bit, because the meme page / training page / Instagram world jumped on this train of taking 3, 5, 10, 12 seconds, and then it gets blasted all over the internet, and we all make a decision on that. One of my biggest cases I keep talking about, Sergeant Bruno up there in Jersey, who shoots a guy with the bat. I believe it's 100% justified all day. But the blue line pages got all over this dude over 16 seconds, vilified him, gets arrested for murder, and turns their backs on him. What happened to, like, what did he feel? Why did he do it? We don't ever even listen or get to that point of an officer having an opportunity to talk about the reasons he did things. We see 15 seconds and the whole world goes good, bad. And that's it. It's over with. You made a decision. Nobody's changing their mind. There's no dialogue. And now some dude's sitting at home charged with murder, staring at the wall every day for what I believe is justified, and never did has he had his opportunity yet to explain why. So that is my big problem. Weak leadership that just needs to look at the public and go, hey man, it looks bad, but I stand by my guy. That's it. We're not going to make a decision yet off of 12 seconds of video. We haven't had a chance to talk to the guy yet. So that's where our body cam, I think, I like it, but it's been misapplied and overused to go, look, it's bad. And you can't do that.
And just using that sports comparison, right? And this is life and death. It's not sports, but we look at it like that ESPN thing was actually blew my mind. That's amazing. But on the flip side, we don't get to talk to the fucking running back on Tuesday to get his so what happened was the whole, and I really underplayed, you don't get that guy, that cop that everyone's talking about and breaking down for his own sake and his own benefit. He has to go hide, essentially. He can never talk outside of an attorney, and his attorney is just going to put out a statement. And now that we have to, I'm going to sound like a softy, but you got to worry about that guy's fucking mental health for the next 9 months while he faces murder charges.
And that's where we come in, I think, is like, I try to get in touch with these guys, talk to these guys, and then once it's done, come tell your story, because it's not going to be told correctly in court. It's not going to be told correctly in the media. It has to be told through a group of guys like us four that know what you went through, and we need to get that version out. And I'm not talking about crooked shit. I'm not talking about criminal stuff that's obvious. I'm not going to defend a criminal, but a guy who does a good job and gets roasted because he's in a blue city or he arrested the defendant is the son of a fucking commissioner or mayor. We all see it happen. Those guys deserve now. And that's where we come in to have their moment to explain the truth of what happened.
You're spot on, brother, right? Because, and Tyler, you're not being soft. You're absolutely right. Because I often say, and John, we both say it, it's the eternal pressures of the NYPD. And what I'm hearing from you is we could replace that with any other name, with Orange County, right? With any other law enforcement agencies. The internal pressures that are far more intense, the external pressures, right? Because there's no support from within. And I think these weak leadership, they take the easy route because it's self-serving, right? If I just throw these guys under the bus, maybe I get another star on my shoulder, maybe I pave the way for my offspring, right? My kid gets a good job. So if they take the easy route, because if they support you and have their back, well, then they put themselves in that pinnacle position. So what I'm hearing from you guys, it's really, I have to admit, it's kind of a breath of fresh air to hear that even in Florida, that we're experiencing the same things, because I think Florida's built this reputation that it's like that it is the promised land and it's different than other places as far as policing. And we always hear, "Oh, Florida supports you," and I'm hearing something far different. And I love hearing your perspective because it's the truth. So could you tell me that? Because we talk about weak leadership, off in the NYPD, and I have a far more disappointment with them than the elected mayor, because the mayor, we know exactly who he is. The people voted for him. That's what they got. But it's the weak leadership of the NYPD that bend the knee and they know damn well how policing is supposed to be. And you're right, Tyler. I tell you, that I think should be done for mental health. Let's actually hear from the cop. Instead they put the cop in the corner and they don't let the cop say a word. So he's eating it up. He doesn't have an opportunity to vent it. So what you're saying, Tyler, I agree. It's good for mental health. Tell your story. Let's hear it from you. Let's hear the emotion, right, that's involved in it, what you felt. People, instead, they put, it's like they put a baby in the corner. So could you guys tell me, like, what do you expect? Because, right, you have elected sheriffs in Florida. What do you expect from a sheriff? Like, what someone a good sheriff? Like, that's a sheriff I want to work for. Well, that's a sheriff. You're smart because you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, who's the guy? Like, I don't want to work for that guy. What makes someone a good sheriff that you want to work for?
Like, hold on. Let me get my list.
Which episode do you want me to refer? Which episode do you want me to refer to?
We're breaking out, bro.
I'll go first. I'll give you an example of the sheriff that I worked for. Sheriff Eric Flowers of Ventura County had an open affair with a fireman's wife, sex on duty, all kinds of stuff. Never held accountable. Never stood in front of a microphone and apologized to the public. He did apologize once for it and said it would never happen again, and then he went back to doing it. But that's the same guy that gets on the news and puts a statement up there about me in a pursuit bullshit use of force about how important accountability and holding people accountable is. So you can't have an open public affair with another first responder's wife, blow the building apart, disappear, almost get arrested, all this stuff that I knew was going on because I was his best friend at one point, and then get on the news and talk about accountability. You don't get to do that. And that's where the failure is. And in Florida, I don't know how it is in New York, there's no oversight for the sheriff. I contact the governor. Governor says, yeah, it's not my problem. Attorney General, no, that's not my problem. The Commission on Ethics is the only place, and just conveniently last year, the Florida Commission on Ethics passed a law that says unless you are present and have firsthand information of the actual violations, you can't even report it. So if I have knowledge that the sheriff is illegally using tax dollars, upgrading hotels, spending money on gas, going out of town if I'm not in the car with them, I can't report it. So that's the problem in Florida, is the oversight and the lack of accountability. These sheriffs have way too much power. So a good sheriff would be the guy, Martin County Sheriff's Office. I'm not going to knock them all. Martin County Sheriff's Office has a very good structure. The guys on the internet lifting weights with his captains. They have a physical fitness standards. When guys ask me, Martin County, Jacksonville Sheriff's Office is a good one. West Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office is pretty liberal down there, but I don't hear tremendous problems. So there's a few that I hear that are like, okay. But overall, my problem with the sheriffs here is they're too powerful and there's no oversight, and they can get away with anything, and immediately you can be fired if they want to get rid of you.
Yeah. NYPD Chief Rob Lukash, he hosts the Executive Perspective on the Finest Unfiltered. He says, when the appeasement of the public outweighed the justification of police officers' actions, has put cops well behind the 8 ball when being scrutinized. Upper echelons only care about themselves. So, and I'm with you, Tyler. Like I'm not dead against the body camera, but we didn't roll it out right from the beginning. We didn't set ground rules on it, and it's completely being used improperly. Totally being improperly. And look, the court of public opinion's out there, right? And we're all going to be guilty of it. We're going to get a 10-second video. We're going to break it down. This is what we do now. I'd rather it be you guys breaking down my video than have some kid on the news that knows nothing about what he's watching or is driving a narrative. I'd rather it be cops breaking down my video, former cops, than people who don't understand law enforcement at all. But I personally think, I'm totally with you guys. I think it's the fucking emasculation of the upper echelons of these departments, because, let's, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but are you guys familiar with the Eric Garner incident that happened in Staten Island? Yeah. So we had one of the chiefs on last night on a different show on here on 10-4 Tavern. And he couldn't even answer the question, really. They asked him about, what were your feelings about the Eric Garner incident? And he's like, well, I was in a position as a cop where I had to choke someone. And had that person died, I would have been fired. And I'm like, Daniel Pantaleo didn't choke Eric Garner. I'm like, are we watching two different videos? Like, what are we talking about here? And I'm like sitting there and I'm like, even in retirement, these guys will not tell the truth about scenarios, and they still continue to appease the public. Like, what'd you guys think about that scenario? Because I do think, for me, that was a pivotal changing moment in my career. I watched a cop that did exactly what I was trained to do, execute the move that the police academy trained me to do, execute the care that we were told to give exactly to a T. And then I watched him get demonized and ultimately fired and almost charged. He had Obama's Justice Department couldn't charge him. The Staten Island DA had tremendous pressure and couldn't charge him because he committed no crime. He did nothing wrong. He followed his training to a T. Like, what'd you guys think about that scenario? Did you think that Eric Garner was choked?
Well, I'm going to let Mike talk about that because he's actually really knowledgeable about chokeholds. But it was in his training manual that's the right move to do?
I was trained takedown from the head to get him onto the floor. Then do what you got to do to get him in handcuffs. Side punches to the ribs, punches to the back. Use his diaphragm for leverage in order to get his hands behind the back. Danny takes him down from the head. They go to the floor. Garner's a big guy. He gets him handcuffed. He never throws one punch, never one kick. No one on his team does anything. They get him handcuffed. They roll him to his side to promote free breathing, which is what I was trained. And you call a supervisor in an ambulance, which Danny did. While he's on the floor, he's going, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. While he's handcuffed and on his side. Right. And so the ambulance takes a while to get there. The ambulance takes time to diagnose him, obviously, because these things take time. And you guys have been cops. Like, how many people have told you they can't breathe when you have them cuffed and they're totally full of shit? And Danny didn't disregard that. He called for medical attention. And that by our training is exactly the only things he was required to do at that moment in time. Now they want these officers to do chest compressions on people, even though chest compressions wouldn't have saved him. He had a 99% blockage in his heart. He would have died had the light turned green while he was crossing the street and he sped up a little bit. Like, they met at the exact wrong time in their lives. And Daniel Pantaleo basically got brought out as the fall guy because someone had a heart attack when they were committing a crime and the public didn't like it.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that case. And that Kansas City has like hundreds of thousands of applications of the LVNR and never killed anybody. It's the most effective move to detain someone and get them. You hit them with a stick, makes them mad. You tase them. What does it work? 25, 30% of the time. Being able to grab somebody and use the LVNR. And there's agencies like Sandy Springs in Georgia. It's a great agency. Jordan Innes is one of my former co-hosts. Chief Ken DeSimone up there. They just put it in last year. They brought the LVNR in. So there's agencies that are progressive. It is the most effective. You can't control what you just talked about. We can argue George Floyd all day. I'm a little, I'm on the fence on that because unchecked for so long on the ground. Do I think he murdered him? No, but the lack of checking to see if he was breathing for so long gives me a little bit of like, not the best. But in that scenario where you roll somebody over, they're in custody. They can't breathe. They can tell you they can't breathe 1,000 times. You can't get the ambulance there any faster. You can't get medical there any faster. It's not like they all walked away and went, fuck this guy, leave him on his stomach, let him die. So that was not the right case to try to go after the cops on. But because it's New York and it's liberal, he happens to be a black male. That case is just the pinnacle for, oh my God, you can't choke people. When trained properly, the LVNR would eliminate most of our use of force problems and decrease injuries to the suspect and to officers significantly. But it looks bad, and the police administrations are pussies. They don't want to have something look bad, so they just go hit him with a stick. That'll do it. Hit him with a stick. That looks better. That'll help. And we just watched a video yesterday where we broke it down where the fucking guy tries to hit a guy with the asp, and the asp flies halfway down the freeway. It's not effective, and then they don't tackle him. They don't go hands on. So. There's nothing wrong with the Eric Garner case.
I think that just to go back a little bit, what you said, the pussification of law enforcement. I think that if we're so far behind that we are going, I don't know if we'll ever get back to just the public going like, okay, but I used to notice when these big stories would happen where the force was scrutinized on national TV. I remember my interactions for about a week with people were like, yo, I'm good, man. I'm good. Yes, I'm good. And I'm like, man, why is this guy so compliant? He usually talks shit all the time. And every time something would happen for like a week to 2 weeks, people were genuinely scared. And I don't know if this is good or bad, but it's real.
Trayvon Martin was the first one I experienced.
I was going to fucking kill them. And they complied immediately to authority. And I'm like,
that's what he's saying. We kill somebody once a week and we keep everybody happy.
A little bit of fucking force and we fight people. We're on camera. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but if we're on camera showing that we're not afraid to go hands on, and what will happen if you do resist police unlawfully, then maybe a lot of people will be like, that's what it looks like when you tell the police to fuck off. I don't want that. Maybe people have never seen it before. Maybe people are growing up in a generation where they're 19 years old and they've never seen what it's like when you fucking run from the cops or you spit on a cop or you tell a cop, fuck you. Like, they've never seen it before.
Well, here's the reality, right? And here's the sum total. So I really believe this, and I know it from experience. I've competed in jiu-jitsu all over the world. I've competed in boxing. I've competed in MMA. I've competed in MMA, you name it. So I've competed in everything. And I can tell you this, when I boxed, when I got knocked out, they told me take a couple days off. Don't spar for a week. Right? But when you get choked, you know what happens? You spar again.
Off and you go back right in.
Right? You go spar again. And so that's what I've been trying to explain to the public. They, people have this primal instinct and they believe that they could fight even though they never trained in their lives. But most people don't understand mutual physical combat unless they are a trained fighter or a cop or a fireman and you've actually faced danger. But most people have this idea of what a fight would be like, but they've never actually been in one. And I can tell you, just putting gloves on boxing, when you take a strong hit, you need a week off before you do any sparring. And jiu-jitsu, if applied properly and properly trained, chokes are so effective. Thousands of chokes are performed a year in jiu-jitsu and no one dies, right? And when it comes to I think, Tyler, I actually spoke about it on your show. We talked about the Eric Garner incident. I don't see that as an actual choke. It's a seatbelt takedown. A choke has to be either an air choke or a blood choke, right? Cut off the carotid artery. And I don't see that. But neither that, to me, it doesn't matter. Because what I heard from the chief yesterday, his name is former chief in the NYPD, chief of the department. His name is Rodney Harrison. It wasn't a genuine answer, a genuine response. And I'm bothered by it because to me, I've been saying this for a long time, and it sounds like in Florida also, where there's a certain amount of casualties a year where politics is going to bury certain cops under the bus because of politics. And what Rodney Harrison said is he said, well, basically what he said was Daniel Pantaleo kind of got screwed, but young Rodney Harrison had to apply a choke also on a bigger adversary. But Rodney Harrison got lucky because his adversary didn't die. Daniel Pantaleo just didn't get lucky. So if we go on luck, I mean, I don't want to play real. I want to said, and to me, that's not a real response. The real response is either he should have been fired or not. And these guys are not giving real answers. So I'm faced with this dilemma. People argue me often. It seems everyone in law enforcement is a nice guy. You ask people right now, I bet in Florida, oh, that guy's a nice guy. But are they good guys? There's a far difference. Yeah. If they're nice, Rodney Harrison, I heard his interview yesterday. He's a former chief of NYPD, and I'm sure the same thing with Florida. Nice guy. Man, he talks about his career, talks so nice about everybody. But is he a good guy? To me, that's not a good guy because you didn't tell the truth. The reality is, should he have been terminated or not? But to say that young Rodney Harrison did the same thing, but Rodney Harrison got lucky, and Daniel Pantaleo just didn't get lucky, I have a problem with that. So if you apply the technique correctly, you can't control the outcome unless you do something negligent or something criminal. Exactly.
You be at fault. Just like if you allow pits, if you allow us to pit cars and we do it within policy and that car happens to roll over and everybody dies. Well, you said it was okay for me to do it. I did it within policy. Unfortunately, the outcome was bad, but I was okay to do it. You can't go, well, these three were okay because you pitted them the same exact way and everybody survived. The car stopped and you arrested them, but this one's bad because the car rolled over and everyone died inside. Well, I didn't, unless I broke the policy or did something outside the guidelines. If I did it correctly, it cannot be outcome, driven. I did it right. Unfortunately, that car rolled over and everyone died, but you said it was okay to do it. You can't hang me out to dry for that one time that it doesn't go the way it should have gone. If I did it correctly, I'm not talking about illegal and moral and ethical, but you can't selectively do that because cops already had, like you said before, we've been talking about, we already have a hard enough time getting up and not getting killed or arrested or in an IA every day. Now you're going to go, well, you did everything right, but the outcome was bad. Now you're in trouble too. We can't be reliable or responsible for everything. Like we do the job right, the outcome is what it is, and if we did the steps properly, hey man, I'm sorry you're idiot ran 100 miles an hour in a car with 3 people inside. Not my problem. Like at some point, it's not my problem.
The reason why I bring that up, right, and what I'm curious to hear from you guys, because we often talk about it, right, John and I, that thank God that the boots on the ground with fair leadership, they're out there still doing their job. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, no matter what, we see cops going to jail. We see cops mistreated. We see cops that are being indicted constantly. We even seen Sergeant Eric Garner in the NYPD get sentenced to 3 to 9 years for throwing a cooler at a fleeing perpetrator. And yet, cops knowing this, get up the next day, they strap their boots on, they go to work, and they still go out there and pursue perpetrators. What are your thoughts on that, guys? Like, do we need to tell these guys to stop for a moment, or thank God that they just put aside the realities and just go to work?
One of the things that me and Mike always go back and forth with is I'm an advocate of, and I love my brothers in blue. I really do. But to me, if you watch Sergeant Durant facing 9 years and you go out there and you do that stuff, part of me thinks you're a fucking idiot. But that being said, I still love you and I care for you enough to tell you, like, why would you do that? And I don't want to talk for Mike, but on the flip side of that argument is, how could we not as a society need these guys out here? There's fucking animals out there. There's bad people that are getting more power every day on these streets. And how could we tell the only people between us, me and Mike, between all 4 of us and those animals are the people with the badge on? And I'm sitting here telling them you're an idiot if you do it. And so I get it. And that's why there has to be something.
Yeah, I look at it like this is where we're at. This is the platform we're trying to grow. You guys as well as us. Is attorneys aren't doing it. Most places unions aren't doing it. Administration's not doing it. The public still needs to be protected. There needs to be hard charging dudes out there doing the job and doing the shit that nobody else wants to do. I just don't want those dudes to be so close-minded to not pay attention to what's going on in the job itself and be very careful. But we need them, but we need people like us to support them if something happens to them, because nobody else is going to do it. They're just going to get left out to dry. They're going to blow their brains out. They're going to go to alcoholism. They're going to turn to something. So we have to have a community of people ready to defend them. And I think that's where we're at. I'm sure you guys do. We always reach out to these guys that are in these critical incidents where the public just runs the bus over them and say, hey man, we're here for you. What can we do? What can we do to help you? We don't want to see you blow your brains out or lose your fucking house or, have this void in your life. We're going to try to help the best we can. But I think we have to have these guys. There has to be tough men making critical split-second decisions for the safety of our country, or it's done. It's over.
And one of the things that Pat Boston brings up, our mutual friend, is that he wants the heads of district attorneys and judges on the chopping block now, metaphorically. And I was thinking about, like, these judges that sentence these people one way and then sentence these people another way. They literally sit all day in a thing called a chamber, and they have an armed deputy with them at all. How are you going to get to a judge to even talk to him? You can't. They live in their chambers. And so these guys are untouchable by physical means, let alone metaphorical means.
Well, so, there's a lot of things. And I think, when you look at the judges, it always comes down to elections, bro. It always comes down, most of these judges are appointed, right? They're appointed. They're the strong arm. Like, what's happening in this country is the judicial branch has just become the enforcement arm of the executive branch, and police are just as strong, or the strong arm of the executive branch as well. And that's not how the system should have been worked. But politics has infected all of this. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but this is something that we only talk about on the Finest Unfiltered. I haven't heard a fucking union. I haven't heard any of the top law enforcement professionals or experts. I haven't heard anyone speak about this. No one will address this. In New York City, we have what's called as the diaphragm law. What the diaphragm law does is it makes it a misdemeanor for any cop to use basic control principles of wrestling or jujitsu. Now, it bans chokeholds, which most departments did across the country, which I still think is insane. And I think a chokehold, properly trained, properly, will alleviate a lot of higher use of force. But that's neither here nor there. But the really, really dangerous part about this to me is you're not allowed to put pressure on someone's diaphragm, meaning you're resisting arrest. I can't put pressure on your chest or your back to get your hands behind your back to cuff you. Do you think it's possible to handcuff a resisting suspect without putting pressure on their diaphragm? And are you guys aware of this happening anywhere else? Have you heard of any of this type of legislation down south or anywhere else across the country? Because I think it's the most dangerous legislation I've ever heard of in my life.
It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And like Eric said, how many people have died in jiu-jitsu from diaphragm? how many medical calls have you ran at a jiu-jitsu gym because somebody got? I've had 150-pound 6-degree black belt, Master Tavares, work me sideways where I can't get him off me, and I consider myself a strong guy, and I looked like a clown. And it was very humbling and very not fun, but I could breathe, and I got up off the mat, and I did it again, and I did it again, and I did it again, and he did the same to me over and over. To make that illegal is the most reckless thing I've ever heard in my life. Because what happens when you tase somebody? The point of tasing them is to incapacitate them for a short time while you cuff under power, while they're still being tased, is the proper application. How do you go hands-on with somebody? And then if the taser runs out and they start moving again, do you have to back up and retase them, back up, retase them? When do you actually go hands-on? How can you go hands-on if you have to worry about putting pressure on a diaphragm? It's almost impossible to arrest a resisting person. It's almost impossible. I really don't know how you do it.
Well, that's why you like, and that's what we talk about. Like when you see NYPD videos, you're like, what the hell is that? Well, because they either look like they're playing patty cake, or if you have a competent guy, he looks brutal because the only option he has is to throw punches, right? It's like, the only way I could get you to put your hands behind your back without using your diaphragm is you have to willingly do it.
Yes.
You have to willingly do it. Like, and so how do I have to do that? I have to break you. How am I going to break you? I have to use force. I have to use a higher level of force than you're using against me. Like Tyler, like that is the craziest thing to me. And I don't hear any of these fucking guys like, and you know, a lot of people are beating you up in the chat about the NYPD having strong unions. And I know what you guys meant by it. Stronger unions than what's in Florida.
Yeah. They have no idea what I'm talking in Florida. There's no, like when I say strong union, I'm sure I'm talking, they just call you and say, there's nothing we can do for you. That's a union in Florida. That's Florida. That's
the union in Florida. Their best bet in Florida. I've interviewed one of the first guests on the Antihero. At the time, it was the podcast and not broadcast. But one of my first guests was our union president. And he broke it down. He said, our best chance to make change for our boots on ground is to have a good relationship with admin. So the sheriff trusts us and doesn't want to lose that relationship by firing someone. He's like, at the end of the day, the sheriff can do whatever he wants. Yeah. So we have to play good with them in order to build that relationship that takes years. And then another sheriff can come in if that relationship doesn't exist anymore. So that's all they can do is just hope and pray that the relationship is good enough and they have enough respect from the sheriff to honor what the union wants. But if the sheriff wants you gone, you're gone.
Yeah, so if New York unions are on 4 donuts and barely making it down the highway, Florida unions, the car's sitting out front on blocks with no wheels. So you guys, I'm not saying you guys have it really good, but you can get to the store and get some New York pizza or a Knish or something. We can't. We had to walk. Our car's on blocks out front, just gutted. We have no recourse whatsoever, none.
Right. So basically, I mean, because I would tell you the unions in New York City, especially the NYPD, are ballless, and they're in bed with the enemy, just as what you say now. It's just better job security. That's really what it comes down. Because I think the unions on both of them are just completely useless and ballless, and they have their own self-serving needs. But you have really no job security, and that's because Florida is a right-to-work state, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. It's sad. It really is sad. But what John's talking about here is absolutely true. You know, and someone that trained, I've been training my whole life. I can tell you now that it's virtually impossible to get someone in handcuffs without pinning their hips and their shoulders, right? That's the premise of jiu-jitsu, right? To pin someone, you need their hips pinned or their shoulders or both to actually get them in control. And the ultimate goal should be to get someone in handcuffs without causing injury. And jiu-jitsu teaches you that, right? They often call jiu-jitsu the gentle art. It's nothing gentle about it, right? But they call it the gentle art. The reason why they call it that is because you talk about this 5th degree black belt, is that more level training. This guy is holding you down with the ability of treating you like you're a baby without hurting you. And that's Correct. The art of jiu-jitsu. That's what people don't understand. With the Kruger effect, we're talking about people who've never gotten to a physical confrontation in life. If you look at the people in the New York City Council that come out with these proposals, I mean, probably would have a hard time fighting a fly. So these are people who, it's unfortunate, but these are the people that make these rules who never put their hands on a suspect. My own mother, I had this conversation about the Eric Garner incident. I remember she was, completely in opposition to the cop until I had a good conversation with her. I said, Mom, how do you feel about that? Like, what if that was me?
Yeah.
And she never really thought about it. She said, what do you mean? I'm like, well, what if I was the person on trial right now and I was the one in the public eye and that happened to me? What would you think? Like, what do you think the cop should do? And my mother says, well, just put him in handcuffs. I said, great. That's the goal. But how? How do you get there? Right?
Yeah.
How do you get there? And that's what people don't understand. Controlling another human being is one of the hardest things. And I think that's what they should do with people. And I would go to universities and colleges and do this presentation where I would have 8 of the biggest guys and say, okay, I would put my hands to my sides and say, you have a minute on the clock and just try to get my hands behind my back without punching me, of course. And they're exhausted after the minute and your arms just become a vice. But people don't really understand it. So I really appreciate the stuff you say, and hearing about what's going on in Florida and mirrors and mimics New York is crazy to me. It really is crazy.
The good news in most of those situations for the cops is most of those people are just resisting to not get handcuffed. We haven't even gotten into the people that actually want to cause harm and kill you, because we see those videos too. But most of the videos we see, fortunately for the out of shape cops, they're fighting. What we see mostly on Instagram is guys just trying to get away. If they wanted to kill those cops, it's over, man. It's over. Right. It's over.
Do you think, so that's what it is. Do you guys think it should be, obviously in New York City, I mean, until the diaphragm law gets rescinded, it's impossible for these guys to do their job. That's why John said he's right. That's why you see a clown show. These cops, they're very mindful of it, very conscious of it. But do you think it should be a requirement for police departments to have training, whether it's, whether it's jiu-jitsu or going to the gym or something? Do you think there should be requirements? Because you look at some of these cops, it's just, first of all, some of them are out of shape, but some of them just don't, you can just tell, right? You look at somebody like, these guys just don't look like they fit the mold.
Yeah.
I think so. You don't think the NYPD should recruit Asian women? That shouldn't be their main focus? Which currently, NYPD's main focus right now, just so you guys know, is recruiting Asian women because they don't want the job, because culturally, physically, they're probably not too good at it. Like, they don't want the job, but the NYPD, that's their #1 draft choice. And
then if you go to Atlanta area, you'll see a different woman is the #1 target. They're targeting black women at record pace. I saw a video yesterday where they hired a lady who's a massage artist, she does massages, and she's a deputy now, and her job is to do massages at the county. Like, I'm getting ready to break. I'm gonna show the video today on Antihero at 1 o'clock on our broadcast. But
I'm gonna see how much Atlanta paying. Maybe I'll move.
Literally, and she was an escort before that. They have her old escort posters. So like they're targeting. That's where I get into this dangers of marketing and social media. Is I'm not saying it doesn't work, but now we're talking about grown men that can't fight. Now you're gonna get Asian women. Can they drive? I mean,
Mana Samurai, I got to push back, brother. I love you. Judo is the gentle art, and so is jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu falls under judo. Judo is the father of jiu-jitsu. So I have to push back on that, brother. Judo is the umbrella for it. So jiu-jitsu comes from judo.
The problem is with the mandatory fitness, and I agree with this, is that most of the leadership, it's not a priority to them because they're not fit dudes. When you get into admin, you'll have that one captain there, or that one, guy that's way up there that takes fitness seriously. He never has to utilize it. He's behind a desk all the time, but he does take fitness seriously.
He could fit in his uniform. He looks good.
But I remember they were trying to implement it for us, and they were like, you can have 30 minutes a shift to work out on your sergeant's discretion. Well, my sergeants were never fit. They were all fat slobs or weak, I don't know, weak. They were women or something that they just didn't work out. And on top of that, we're running calls. So then you got the pressure of, so I got to get dressed in 5 minutes, work out for 20, get dressed in 5 minutes and be back out there. That's not practical. And then on top of that, if half your shift doesn't work out, they're like, well, what's Tyler over there doing? Why is he working out? Why isn't he taking calls? Well, okay, I'm trying to work out. So the mandatory fit time I have never seen to work. It just doesn't.
I think there should be a mandatory fitness across the board and a higher standard. And my philosophy is, like I said earlier, you can't tell me as an administrator that I have to be professional and I have to hold all these policies and I have to be this thing if you're a fat slob. You can't tell me that. Second of all, where I know Tyler and I disagree is, I think a little bit is, I think it's your responsibility, not on duty, off duty,
to be
at all times, to be ready to fight. You tell your family, what do we all say? I'm going to come home every day, kids. I'm going to make it home to my family. Number one, you go into roll call. What's the most important thing today? Go home to my family. Well, if you're not willing to put in, if you're not willing to go off duty on your own time, train, jiu-jitsu, firearms, and physical fitness, you're lying to your family. You're telling your family a bold-faced lie every day when you get up and go to work. You're like, yeah, I'm going to come home. Dad, your blood pressure's, 270 over fucking 115. You're going to eat roller dogs all day and drink 9 Monsters. You're not really fulfilling that promise. So I look at it a little different. I think it's your responsibility to be fit, but I also think it should start at the top. And I go back to the military. I've said this 3 times now in the last 2 weeks. The sergeant major who's fucking 50 some years old in the military is at formation every day, running the 10 miles, running the fucking, doing the PT test. Even the colonel, the battalion commander, he's out there running every day. He could never show up again if he didn't want to. They don't do it because it's part of the process and it's part of the culture of the military to that. The 55-year-old sergeant major can run with the 21-year-old boot. That's the philosophy. And we're paramilitary. Well, we're not. No. We're not paramilitary. We're zero.
Spot on,
military.
brother. Spot on.
Let's
spot on, because I had a sergeant major in the Marine Corps. May he rest in peace, Sergeant Major Chinchetta. And it's funny he said 55 because he was in his 50s. And dude, when we had PFTs, everybody knows what a PFT is, physical fitness test. He would run circles around me. This guy, he ran 3 miles in like 12 minutes. It was ridiculous. But I remember him running around me. I'm like, damn, I can't keep up with this guy.
He didn't have to. He didn't have to, right? He's a fucking sergeant major. He could take the day off. He could fucking slough it.
Brother.
Yeah, it's like, and I was in infantry, so I still think obviously little different than the whole army, but there was never a time when I went, look at the first sergeant fucking off, look at the sergeant major fucking off. They were the top guys. So when you look at the very top guy and go, this motherfucker is like, what time does he get here? 1 a.m. Is he here already? Like, how does he get here so early? Like, how the fuck does this guy get here and he's motivated? He smells like a fucking brewery and he's running circles around me and I'm 21 years old.
He's ripping cigs.
He's fucking smoking before fucking PT. But you never looked at him and went, well, where do I look to go? I'm going to fuck off today. Well, no, there's nobody. Everybody's squared away. So how the fuck do I fuck off? That mentality applied to law enforcement would fix it. But you got sheriffs and chiefs with 50-inch waists that haven't seen their dick in fucking years, and they're going to tell you how unprofessional you were for saying the F word to a robbery suspect. And it's like, bro, you can't even get out of your car without fucking breathing heavy. Like, don't tell me what professionalism is.
Yeah, and I think staying fit, right? So if you're not going to learn BJJ and learn how to fight, learn to look like someone you don't want to fight, right? So if I'm an advocate of that. Those BJJ guys were fighting 8 times out of 10 because they're smaller. They're humble. They're fucking martial artists. They're not fucking shit talkers typically. And so they're out there fighting everybody all day. If you put on 25 pounds of muscle and get a bunch of tattoos, you only have to fight 1 out of 10 times. You just got to make sure you can hold your own until your boys show up.
Well, you're still wishing that one time doesn't go against you, because if you run into a small BJJ guy, you're fucked.
If you're a cardio guy, just run away now. It's 2026. Just tactical retreat. Just sprint.
Yeah.
So what do you got? I just want to go back to the taser real quick, because it's looked at as the holy grail of the solution for stopping resistant perpetrators. And I'm so glad that Mike fucking said it works 25 to 30% of the time, because we've been saying, like, the statistics out there are fucking bullshit. The taser shouldn't be used when someone's charging you with a knife, but in the NYPD, They actually push that. They want people to shoot someone with a taser, charging them with a knife. The other thing that's happening now is the NYPD is going to this X10 taser. The X10 taser takes away the dry stun. Now, I personally think that the dry stun just pisses people off more than it does anything, but I still like that they have the option. Like, what are your whole thoughts about the taser? Like, when should it be used? Is it this end all be all that everyone fucking thinks it is? All the lefties think it is. And just one more point of note on that. They're trying to get rid of cops having the ability to use pepper spray in New York too. So just on that note too, what do you guys think about that? The taser is going to solve everything, but we'll take away pepper spray.
It blows my mind that this generation's never seen RoboCop. But who actually runs law enforcement in this country? And it's not a government entity.
White leftist women.
That and Axon. Axon runs. Axon bullies the entire law enforcement community across this country. Like, hey, if you don't have our new shit, you don't want to be the guy that doesn't have it, right? You get the lawsuits, or you can just come on board. We'll finance it for you. It's actually just a simple piece of plastic. And so Axon with their fucking body cams run everything. And then they move on. And now Taser, they're so reliant on they don't want us to have guns in this country. They don't want cops to have guns. And with Taser works, like what, 24% of the time? Like,
yeah, it's bad.
Never. in my eyes, that's never.
Taser.
They're telling us that it works. They're telling us it works like 85% of the time. I've used it. I've never really had it be successful. Very rarely has it been successful. So in my opinion, it works like 6% of the time. But from what I've seen, but then watching videos, I've seen it about 20 to 30% of the time, like something like that. No, like seeing other people interact with it. To me, it was never a go-to option for me, really. Unless it was a weird scenario and I had time to do it. Like,
it softened us. Taser, power DMS, and learning on the computer, and accreditation are three things that I think killed law enforcement. Accreditation is garbage. That just means you got a certificate. All they do, if anybody doesn't know, they make shit up at the very last second, say that we went to this training, did that. That's a fucking hoax. Fucking the power DMS. When I was a cop, they dropped you off at the fucking Hood gas station, and my FTO said, when you get 6 dudes' names and social security numbers, you can get back in the car. Good luck. And off I went. Hey man, Mr. Sir, get the fuck, all that stuff. And then the Taser, it became a facade that it was the end all be all. Every time you tase somebody, they're going to go on the ground. Everything's going to be fine. And generations relied on an ineffective tool to the point now they don't know what it's like to go hands-on. They don't know what it's like to fight somebody. They don't know what it's like to be in a scuffle. They rely on it. And what do we see every day on Instagram? Pow, this is it. Pow, this is it. Oh, there's your 2 cartridges, buddy, on the X7. Now what? You got a yellow, and then what do? They take it from us, and then we kill the guy with a gun because they took our taser away from us, and we're scared of it.
Tasers should never be used in a high-stress scenario by the person running it. So I've tased one person my entire life. There was already 7 cops there. It was a DV, and I remember thinking, I want to fucking go on. I don't want to kick this guy's ass. And I pulled it out. I looked at him, and I was like, your call, bud. And no heart rate, no nothing, no weapons, no critical. Like, it was nothing. It was a beautiful taser incident, and it did. It dropped him to the ground, and 6 dudes didn't have to whoop his ass. And I think if you're pulling out a taser in any type of incident where you're fucking, that's the wrong tool to have. It's just that, or you don't know how to go hands on. There's nothing. You need to be the guy in the back with the taser, like, hey, my sole job is to shoot this. If it doesn't work, I'm stepping away.
Taser's like
Eric.
Bitcoin.
Just before you guys, I just got one question for you guys.
Yeah, sure.
Fucking, here's my thing though. Like, we saw all this happening. The taser comes in at this time. How fucking stupid that we're all not multimillionaires for buying Axon stock though. Like, how fucking stupid.
I can't sell my soul.
Profession. I don't know one fucking cop that owns a shitload of Axon stock. Not one.
Yeah.
They should have given us a stock tip.
Yeah.
Little insider trading.
The administrators did all that. The administrators did all that. So, but I look at Taser like Bitcoin. It became real popular because what did we see? When it hit the streets, everybody was scared of it. I don't want to get tased. I don't want to get tased. But now what do we see? Even the bad guys see multiple ineffective deployments over and over and over again. So it's not what it was. And now guys aren't scared of it anymore. So now it's back to, yeah, go ahead and pull your taser out. I know it's not going to work. You're not going to tase. I got a winter jacket on. I got a coat on. It's not going to work. Now what are you going to do? After you tase me twice and nothing happens, you're back to zero. You don't have any tools anymore again.
Yeah. Or the environment. You can't tase that. You got to run through the entire fucking environment that you're in to make sure you can lawfully tase somebody. Like, is he on a bike? Is he on a ledge? Is he in water? Is it raining? Is it, to me, it's just not worth it. I remember one time I asked them in briefing, I was like, the way I'm reading policy, can I tase a dude on a bike? And well, here's the thing. And I'm like, I'm reading this policy and it is unclear to me. Can I tase a man on a bike? Well, so no. So you need to put it in policy because so many people flee on bicycles or they just wouldn't be clear. And I'm like, that's how am I supposed to know if I can one guy?
You're a cop. You're supposed to know.
Yeah, you're supposed to know. And then you're hanging out to dry. It's that easy.
I always hate that in law enforcement, right? Because they never give you a straight answer. It's kind of like, they kind of leave it. It's like, well, when it happens, I guess we'll figure it out then. We'll throw you under the bus then.
We'll use you as an example.
Yeah, exactly. This is a great conversation. Here's how I feel about it. I hate that and Mike, I think you kind of went into it. They want cops to be way too reliant on tools, these non-lethal tools, which I hate that idea. It's like, to me, it's like, no offense to anyone that does this, but this was always my firm belief, right? If you go to the gym, I don't like wearing those weight belts, right? Because I feel like those weight belts become like a crutch, and then people get used to having that assistance, right? To me, my opinion is if you're wearing a weight belt, you're carrying weight, you're lifting weight that you shouldn't be lifting, right? And I think it's the same thing.
If you're wearing gloves, forget it.
Right, if you're wearing gloves, right? But they want cops to have these tools that they're not prepared to use it because exactly if you fire someone with that taser and the taser doesn't completely work, well, what's next? Do you know how to go hands-on? People have this idea it's a magic potion, like they're incapacitated. The cop could walk up and just handcuff them because they don't want the cops going hands-on, right? They want all these tools. You watch some of these social media shows or commercials or different states try to come out with these amazing tools where a cop can almost fire like some Spider-Man web and capture somebody in it because they don't want the cops touching anybody.
Yes.
So we're talking about being in shape, right? I don't know what it's like in Florida, but in NYPD, it's like completely anti-TRT. Now, I never did TRT in my life, but I'm a big advocate that and I want to go on TRT, my plan, but I've been traveling by RV, so it's kind of tough. But I'm a firm believer. As you get older, especially you mature in your police career, you're getting older, your testosterone levels drop, and you're still dealing with young kids out there. You're still dealing with perpetrators. There should be advocates, and there should be something in policing to help guys and assist them with TRT or other ways to stay in the game. What are you guys' thoughts on TRT as far as with police work? And do you think, is it something that has been ostracized in Florida? Because it's completely ostracized in New York City.
I know one of our popular Florida sheriffs, Grady Judd, is supposedly against TRT, but I've never seen anything in Florida other than him be against it because it's just so backed by science and stuff. Like I would want every cop on TRT, or I want every man on TRT, not just cops. But if you're gonna live and do a job where you have to be optimal, like a first responder, I think is very, very important to be optimal. And some of us just don't have good genes. By the time I was 29, my testosterone was at 417, and my doctor was like, "Oh, that's good, man. You're good." I'm like, I don't think so. Like he's like, "You're fine. You'll be fine." And I'm like, I want to be optimal. So that's kind of like, it's a little taboo in the traditional medical practice, but I think most agencies in Florida are okay with it.
Yeah, I think the problem is TRT is a taser in this conversation we're having. You still have to go to the gym, and you still have to lift weights, and you still have to train. I always said this. I've admitted to doing some stuff, right? I've done some chicken and rice. I ate those Sam's Club chickens that were 3-4 pounds. I get it. You still have to go work out. And I would say to guys, I'll buy you whatever you want. I'll buy you a stack. I'll buy you the whole stack. Your ass has to go in the gym and push that heavy ass weight, run, do cardio, do CrossFit, and still have to do it. So the TRT thing, I'm completely an advocate of testosterone and all that, but you still have to go put the work in. It's not magic. You'll just get fat. You do TRT and eat bad and don't go to the gym, you're just going to get fat. You're going to have muscle grow underneath your fat, and you're going to get bigger. So it's not a catch-all, but I believe it does optimize the male, and I'm an advocate for it. I think it's a good thing.
I'm hesitant with the TRT thing. Like we got a good friend, George Misford, great dude. Guy's like 55, bro. He looks like he's 17, man. Jacked, ripped, 12 pack. He looks like he's doing awesome mentally, physically, business. He's killing it. My thing is with me, I go back to my police career, and I've yet to do TRT. I'm going to be 46 soon. I'm still lifting pretty heavy. I'm still doing good. I take like my only supplements really protein and creatine. I don't really do anything else. But I think of myself like being a cop, and I was not good with going to the doctor and following up with like my test and my blood work and doing things. So, and then when I think about other cops, like I was always in shape as a cop. I think about other cops that didn't work out and thinking of these guys drinking 3 days a week, eating shit, not sleeping. And like, I think it's like, I would never recommend it to them to do until they fixed all of those other areas in their life. And me, personally, I'm still scared of it. Till today. Like I still haven't touched it. I haven't felt a need to dive into it, but I do see, like looking at George, I'm like, I see that this could like transform even the shape that I'm in now. Like,
and let me just give an example. I am in better shape at my age now than I was 15, 20 years ago. And actually my blood work and my heart, I have a degenerative heart issue in my family. My dad died at 54 and his sister died at 54. My heart is in better condition now. And I've been on TRT for probably 8 to 10 years. I am better shaped and better numbers in my blood work and heart functions than at this age than I was at 30. So just an idea. It was given a bad rap when it started about prostate cancer and all those other things. But now that it's been really dialed in, man, I'll tell you,
how much upkeep do you do though? Like how much upkeep is it? Like what do you like? What do you have to do?
You take a shot twice a week, and they give you usually
I do
an
mine
estrogen
once
blocker. You can do once a week, you can do twice a week, you can break it up, but it's an estrogen blocker to keep your estrogen in order. You can do once a week, twice a week, and you just feel better. It's a game changer, man. I'm not pushing it other than the fact I can tell you it's a game changer, and that mentally, physically.
You'll look back after like 3. It's not something that you take like a Tylenol and you feel better. You look back after 3 years and you go, holy shit, this is the life I like rerouted. And I mean, not to put on the tinfoil hats, everybody, so don't worry about it. But I mean, you look at what testosterone was like in the 50s and 60s. They actually, I think it's the FDA or the government has lowered the standard of acceptability for testosterone in males. And what's a population that's easier to control? You know,
weak men.
6 million men at 1,000 or 6 million men at 400. You know, it's just, it is what it is. So,
or they start, or that gets low enough, they start dyeing their hair purple and put dresses on and change their fucking orientation. So
yeah, and we're not talking like purposely. Like, I mean, the men are being born with lower testosterone, and I think Joe Rogan said it, or somebody on his show said it, is that, you know, we're slowly declining because we don't have to go out there and kill our food anymore, right? So nature, and I'm a Christian, so I don't really believe in this too much, but their argument is that we're not using it, so we're slow. It's like being like, I was born with 3 wisdom teeth because my body I'm part of evolution, maybe, is that I don't need 4, and there's people being born with 2 now. People being born, you know, so we don't use the testosterone, I guess, naturally to survive as much. But at the end of the day, some people are born with great teeth and other people are not. So if you want to be on the winning end, I would suggest, you know, TRT.
Look at the school. Like when I was in school, I'm a dinosaur. When I was in school, we ran outside for an hour like maniacs, knocking each other's dick in the dirt, playing some weird game with a soccer ball where it turns into like rugby. Yeah. And we used it. We had jungle gyms. We had monkey bars. We climbed. We climbed trees. If anybody knows this, we climbed trees as kids. We did stuff that required testosterone and required muscle growth. We played sports. These kids today that are becoming cops at 21, 22 have never played outside. They've never drank from the hose. They've never run around at recess. They sat on their fucking tablets and phones, and it created lower testosterone. I'm not convinced. So my tinfoil hat's on with Tyler's.
I'm glad you guys talk about that. I often talk about this, and I think people don't understand it. I explain to people there's a difference between fighting and violence. And I think all young men should be trained to fight. There's a difference between fighting and violence. And people say, well, no, fighting is violent. I say you're wrong. All sports, in my opinion, people love sports because it mimics some form of fighting or a simulated type of fighting, right? Aggression, right? Because it's normal. Males and even females need to get that aggression out. It's normal, right? And that's what keeps people from being violent. You watch football game, right? It's probably, and people are actually tackling each other. It's a form of fighting. Even basketball, right? Guys are knocking each other around underneath a hoop. Same thing in hockey. These are all things are simulated fighting, and people everyone loves fighting. And people are like, what do you mean? I'm like, you do. Everyone loves fighting. Think about it. If you went somewhere right now, if you went to a basketball game, right? And one side of the basketball game, there's 5-on-5, right? And the other side, there's 5-on-5, and a fight breaks out. Which one are you watching?
Yeah.
The fight that breaks out, right? Everyone's watching.
Yeah, UFC,
exactly.
WWE. It's like, yeah.
Because it's primal. And so, but there's a difference between fighting. Males, it's normal when you're young to roughhouse and wrestle and basketball and football because fighting is part of evolution. It's normal. That's different from being violent when you're trying to hurt people. I think it's far different. I think people don't understand the difference. And cops, when they're interacting with people, they need to fight with people to keep you safe. That doesn't mean that they're violent. And I think people don't understand the difference.
There's a lot of bullshit with that too. I was just watching the Hulk Hogan documentary on Netflix that just came out, and I'm like, man, I'm like, we grew up like idolizing these jack dudes. You think about like G.I. Joe, He-Man, all this shit. And then I think about like what my nephew's watching, and I'm like, what is this bullshit? Even the Ninja Turtles, they changed them, dude. They used to be jacked when we were kids. Now they're like, they're just turtles. It's like it's weird, man. So I don't think it's
they wake up and change their shell. I think I want a pink shell today.
It's weird, bro. It's really weird. And even the athletes, how they dress, like some of them, they dress like you don't know if he's a guy or a girl. And I'm like, what are you wearing?
Basketball. Well, speaking of basketball, some of these basketball players walk in and you're like, what the like Russell
Westbrook. If I was the owner of
the
team, I'd be like, dude, don't ever come out like that again.
Cam Newton,
like,
fucking football. He walks out, you're like, this guy in a fucking dress. What is going on?
Exactly.
I don't know.
Like, I'm gonna stop you from embarrassing this organization and yourself. Everybody's got to wear a suit from now on.
No dresses.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we lost. It's become like a badge of honor now, where people don't have discipline anymore, and kind of like they're rebellious. Like, and I'm not saying you have to follow completely to the T, but there has to be some form of discipline, professionalism, right? And we've lost that completely. I mean, especially, what do you guys think about cops on YouTube doing these videos? I hate it. I hate when cops are doing these silly videos. I mean, they spend their entire day trying to get the right take. There's no way that they just do a little video and then they just put it out there and spend their whole tour. And some of it is just embarrassing. I'm not saying you shouldn't have fun as a cop, but it should be behind closed doors. Like, I think these videos are ridiculous. What do you guys think?
What kind of videos?
Some of these YouTube videos the cops put out, they're dancing and stuff like that. TikTok cops, yeah.
They're doing skits. They're eating food.
I honestly think it's my opinion is, I brought this up the other day, but we really didn't touch on it. I think that's starting to go away. Now, it could be algorithm based, because my algorithm, I never see it anymore. And it's so fucking bananas and asinine that, cops are out there dancing in uniform, and, because it was defended when it first happened. It was defended by a lot of senior YouTube cops as humanizing the badge, right? Making us look like you. I'm not fucking you. I'm not. I chose to put on a fucking badge and put on a fucking gun, and you didn't. I'm not like you. I don't go out there and fucking dance. I don't want you to feel that No, I'm not like you at all. And now we're recruiting people that want to be like, I'm like you. I dance. And then you got civilians go, I'm not fucking gay. I don't do that shit. You're gayer than me now. And it's just, sorry for the language, but that's how I look at it.
It's a huge problem. More on TikTok, which I hate when I open it. Somebody sends me and I open it, and I can tell you, I did it the other day on the show. every swipe is a cop dancing. Every single swipe is a cop dancing. But what they did was, just like everything else, the agencies use that as a recruiting tactic. And now they're recruiting these people to go, look, you can come dance. You can come be part of this. You can come be school resource right out of the rip. You don't have to go to the patrol. You make FTO, go right to school resource. Look at this school resource dancing around. It's a dangerous thing. It's an unfortunate thing that's happening, and it's not humanizing the badge. Humanizing the badge is like dragging a fucking DV victim or a DV suspect to jail, or dragging a fucking drug dealer out of a car going, we're going to protect your community. Or we solved 13 burglaries last night. We're dragging this dude to jail. I want to see that. I want to know my community is being safe. I don't need to fucking dance.
Here's the difference, right? A video of a guy playing basketball with kids, a video of a guy throwing the football with kids or girl, however you want, doing something with the community that's filmed is showing. That to me is more humanizing the bag. Getting on a skateboard, playing guitar when you go to a noise complaint. I love all of that. The dancing people, they're doing that just for themselves. They're not out there in the 100%. Community doing that to better their relationship. They're doing it strictly for themselves, and it's sickening.
Wow, brother. Good point.
Yeah, it's just like the fucking influencers that go around handing out money in places just to video themselves handing out money. Like, oh, look at me, I'm giving $100 there, but well, why the fuck do you have 11 camera members to fucking video? Like, if you really care, just go do it. But it's like, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's a fraud.
One time, Mike.
No, go, Tyler. Go.
I was gonna say, one time Mike did dress as a stripper and dance for a bunch of horny moms, but that was sanctioned by the sheriff's office. I was on for a charity event, so we let it go.
I actually, I have a confession. I
hear about that, brother.
I actually made TikToks in 2020. I think I took the jab, and I think the jab made me retarded. And I went on TikTok for about 4 months and paid the price. Not only did I pay it by being humbled and looking like a moron where people can find them the rest of my life. I caught some flack, and I realized, hey, this is, you need to vary a little bit. Like, you need to take the wrong way to go, boy, that right way was a lot better option. So I became an internet superstar there for a little while and took my shirt off and danced around like a fucking moron. And then I went, you know what? This is probably not the right idea. So I am a subject matter expert. Oh, then Tyler's got him. Tyler set me up. Tyler set me up one day. Nice Sunday morning. Tyler messaged me. He's like, hey, dude, what were some of those videos? You have any of those old videos? Like, I'm thinking nothing of it. So I send it to him, and being the creative genius he is, the next day there's a whole 1.5 reel of me dancing around like a moron. I'm like, very nice.
Well, we've been talking about doing a shirtless podcast. So we've been talking about doing a shirtless podcast one day. So you'll have to come on for that.
Yeah, calendar.
So Mike, how many? Since you're a subject matter expert, how many takes does it take to make a TikTok video in uniform?
Sometimes 30, 40. Yeah, especially if it requires any type of dancing, because I can't dance, and even the one that I sent is bad. But I can look back at some of them and go, like, it's painful. Like, I show them on our open mic. I show them on our night shift. I don't mind doing it because it helps people understand, and I want them to see how embarrassed I am when I actually play the video. I played one the other day, and I'm like, look. I can't even look at the camera when I put it up. I'm like, this is the most embarrassing thing. But it grows your character. But it does. These guys that are doing that. That's why I'm so critical. Is I know what they're doing. I stopped. I went back to being, I got promoted after that. I went back to being a real cop and getting away from that. But it does not only do the takes after they push send, they spend hours watching that little thing to see if it goes, is this one viral? Is this one viral? Is this one viral? It's like a drug. It's a drug addiction.
And I would say that Mike telling people, like, I know that would be the same thing as if I saw someone like hitting the sauce too hard or doing like, I would tell them, like, hey man, like, I wouldn't do that because I've done this. Like, I see what you're doing. I'm not judging you for it, but and so I don't
try to help.
Yeah. So you're a recovering TikTok cop. That's it.
I'm recovered all the way now. Now I'm just a fucking moron. But that's why I'm so hard on it, because I go, not only it's like he just said, it's like watching somebody go through a critical incident, going, hey man, like I know what you're going through. Let me talk to you about it because I understand where you're coming from. I do the same thing. I try to say to these guys, like, you're going to end up one day, because I testified a lot in court, a lot on big cases. You're not going to want that video played in front of a jury. I assure you. Just walking into a trial for most cops that haven't really done it is the most stressful thing they're ever going to go through. Now imagine they pull your Instagram out and start scrolling those videos of you dancing and saying stupid shit in front of 12 people. The jury are like, oh my God, they're like, look at this more. So I try to tell them it's fun and cute until the day it's not. And I had that experience of the day it's not. When your lieutenant calls you and goes, hey man, you're all over the international news, which I was. That's not a good call to get. Let me just warn you, unless it's for winning the lottery or having the biggest hog contest, it ain't fun to get that call and have somebody say, hey, you're all over the news. It's the worst call you're ever going to get. And it's tough. It's a tough mental road after that. So I've been through it, and I try to help people not end up on the end of that phone call.
You know what, brother? And you're right. Not only that, right? It's and you know, it's funny. We're laughing at it because it is hysterical. But at the same time, right, you want to be taken serious and professional. You know, let's say, for instance, you got a trial you're on, and maybe the guy committed a robbery. You want that guy to do time for it. And now that guy walks because you look like an idiot. So, you know, it's kind of like your fault, right? Because we don't you have your Giglio material, right? Which is the defense attorney is allowed to put any material to show the lack of character or the lack of representation in the cop for a case. And now you're the one that threw away that case because you want to make stupid videos. Like, I get it. Cops, listen, we have fun, but you know, when I was a cop growing up in the police department, I started January 2004. Everything wasn't on camera, right? I mean, we would throw water balloons at each other. I used to put mayonnaise on people's doors. You know, they would open the door handle or catch up stupid jokes. Right? We used to put crickets in the females' cars. Like, they would get in and go nuts. I would put mice. I used to go to a pet store. I bought pinkies. I put them in the cops' cars. But it wasn't on TikTok, right? It wasn't something that was going to be played in court. So I'm not saying you shouldn't have fun, right? You should have pranks. You should have fun. But you don't want the whole world to see either. You know, something should stay behind closed doors.
Yeah, that's a great point.
But now the agencies are doing it. They're recruiting with it. It's like,
do you remember the lip sync video plague that happened for a couple years?
That's what got me. That's what started it.
We had guys rapping. We had guys actually making raps.
Yeah,
and they weren't good, dude. Like, I'm not saying like it was a horror. It was like white kids from like Long Island like rapping. I'm like, what is happening?
Dude, rapping about how cop work is cool, dude, is not cool. Like, cop work is, I don't know. That's like rapping about Trump being cool. Like, I'm a Trump supporter through and through, but I've never heard a rap song that was cool about Trump, to be honest with you. So rap is its own thing. Rap's its own thing. And the lip sync challenge is just watching those people just beg and plead to be on those videos, and then they're not flattering. They don't pick the best looking ones. Like, it's sad.
Yeah. Sick. So you guys been doing this a while now, and you know, I used to say, I was like, we get so much shit, and then I would look at you guys and I'm like, all right, well, it's not just us. You know what I mean? Like you guys have went through some shit, man. Do you want to just talk to the audience about that at all? Like, everyone knows our exploits, what's happened with me and Eric. We've been all over the news. Like, same with you guys, but you know, like I said, most of our audience is New York based. Like, what, you want to just walk us through, like, what's your thoughts on that? You know, are you guys still, I mean, you're obviously still out here motivated doing it. And so, like, if you could just walk us through some of the trials and tribulations of being out here in the podcasting world, like speaking your mind and pushing back at the establishment, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, when I started, I kept it very general. I was able to stay on the job for years because I started it in like 3 years ago, December of like 2022 or something like that. 3.5 years I've been doing it. And I kept it very general. So I never ever spoke about the department that I worked for. And that, I think, kept me afloat for a long time. And of course, man, you got any good admin that's sitting out there, they're sitting here going, fuck yeah, bro. Keep saying it. Keep saying it. I can't say it. Keep saying it. So, and then we evolved and, we became a much bigger podcast, like overnight, essentially. And then we got involved in a bunch of lawsuits because we started bringing the military into the integrity side of it, because much of the podcast was about law enforcement and integrity. And somebody that we worked with for a little bit had a lot of intelligence about the military and the integrity issues about that. So then, we started just questioning basic things about some of the stories we've been hearing from these special forces guys. And to be honest with you, man, I'm a huge advocate of our first responders being actual fucking heroes. And those guys would never think that they deserve an award at all. And then you got guys that don't, you know, a couple combat deployments, fired one round in Iraq, and now they're having books and shit written about them, and they're telling all these crazy stories, and no one could vet them because no one knows. And so we worked with a guy for a little bit that knew how to vet those guys, and the stories weren't matching up. We made some stuff about it, and it was 50-50. You're going to have just as many haters as you do supporters. So as you go up, if you're not ready for that, it's a lot. And, you know, we were thrown in a lawsuit by Rob O'Neill for simply stating that there was a whole nother side. There was a whole nother narrative of that story put out in a book 10, 15 years ago. And we just brought up that book, right? And he sued us for defamation. Like, it's literally a published book that said what we said. You can't sue us. And, you know, and then that's how it is, man. They want it. Podcasting, it doesn't really become a reality until someone fucking hits you with a lawsuit and you're like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is a podcast, like a podcast. I'm not out to get you. And so I'll let Mike pick it up from there.
It just, and the other side is you have to have thick skin. I don't read stuff about me because I one of my funniest examples when I was in narcotics, I went and interviewed a guy with a couple guys, and he told us how he was selling drugs and buying drugs from Detective Mike Dilks. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty interesting. I'm standing there. He has no idea who I am. And he tells this whole elaborate story about how he's meeting me and he's going to play. And I'm like, tell us more, man. I'm taking the notes and all that. Let him go through the whole story. And then I'm like, pulled out my fucking ID. I'm like, hey, man, this is who I am. So my point to that story is that people will say whatever they want to say about you. They'll spin the narrative, whatever they want against you. And in most of those times, it's to shut you up because you're telling the truth or you're bringing stuff to light that they don't want brought out. So I just have thick skin. I don't read comments. I get messages. Everybody's like, hey, man, I support you. Just, I can't talk about it. Like even guys from my own agency that are, that I go after frequently, people from the command staff reach out and go, hey, please don't repeat this, but you're right. Everything you're saying, I'm like, I appreciate that. So thick skin, do the right thing. And like I said at the beginning, you have to open up your closet though. And you can't let anybody have a gotcha aha moment and be a hypocrite. So one of my first goals was, and I did it, was here's everything you're ever going to hear about me. You want to talk about it? Let's talk about it. I'll go right online and we can discuss all of it. So it's thick skin sometimes, and it sucks that family members get drug into it, and, you know, you get your wife clipped on posted and, you know, whatever people are going to do. I don't give a shit.
We have pages that live for reposting us. That's the only thing that they have going for them, is that I guess there's the hater mentality is real, and people, and here's the thing, bro, they're cops. They're cops that are sad that they had a shitty career and they see other people going out there and doing something else or continuing on with their life, and they're just evil, nasty people that want your demise for no reason. And the sad part is they're police officers or former police officers that do it, not regular people.
You know, dude, that is so true. I mean, a lot of the hate we get is from fellow cops because they don't want to hear the truth. They want to live a life of pretend, right? They don't say that stuff out loud. I don't want to hear it, right? It's like, you know, we all know the dirty things that go on behind closed doors in real life, but we don't talk about it. We don't want to see it, right? And the reality is everybody takes a shit every day. And people do disgusting things. We just don't want to see it, right? And it's the same thing when it comes to cops. They don't want to hear the truth, right? Let's pretend cops aren't getting indicted. Let's pretend cops aren't getting prosecuted. It's never going to be me. It won't happen to me, right? Because I'm smarter than the next guy. And then, right? And it's kind of like, you know, the show The Wire. I don't know if we talk about that, right? The Wire talks about that, right? Like every crew that comes up, they think, oh, they're smarter than the crew before them. Like, oh, we won't get locked up.
Yeah.
And it's a cycle. And cops think the same thing. Like, it's not going to happen to me. No, brother, it is going to happen to you when it comes to you. And everyone's going to treat you like leprosy. You know, you're going to forget. Same thing with me. I was coined as the most complained cop. And the people were surprised when I started, when John and I got together, we started this network. When we first started podcasting together. A lot of people that never met me before, you know, they claimed to, and they thought I was going to be this Neanderthal. Like, wow, this guy's actually intelligent and he knows policing. And some of the people were just extremely shocked because they build this myth that I'm this complete Neanderthal. It's quite the opposite. But if you're getting hate, it's a good thing. I think hate is a good thing because that means that what you're saying is important, because people don't hate on you when they're doing better than you. They hate on you because what you're saying is right and you're actually doing good. So I encourage hate. I love it. And, you know, I always say, they didn't get me then. They're not going to get me now. They didn't get you then. They're not going to face you. You know, these are keyboard warriors. I love them, honestly. You know what I call them? Fans. These people that hate us, you know, they spend 4 hours. You think about it, 4 hours, they tell me, you know, how violent I am. I'm a piece of shit. They talk shit to John, but yet they watch us for 4 hours. I'm like, you hate me? Yeah. I don't want people to hate me 4 hours.
Yeah, we just talked about that. Mike said, you know, fans come and go, but haters are forever. Like, we have guys that we'll post their things up and they'll talk about us in depth, and they'll watch something that wasn't in the social media clip and was like 2/3 in. I'm like, bro, you're watching.
Yeah, you're listening every word. You said this.
It's like, man. And I said the same thing. I posted. I was like, I comment, and I'm like, hey, brother, some of them, if they're not hateful, right? If they're not hateful, I'll go, listen, brother, I'm sorry to tell you. That's like watching a show to see the bad guy die. That's like watching WWE because you want to see that bad guy get beat up. I was like, this means that you're a fan of the show, and I appreciate it, whether you like it or not. And then they'll change their tone a little bit. They'll go, well, you know, some things I do agree with you. And you're like, I know, it's okay.
You know, here's the reality too. I told you so back when one of our friends and listeners to the network says cops are the biggest backstabbers ever. And I'll tell you this, even somewhat in the military, I felt that, but more in police work. You know, when I was in Iraq, I was always like, man, I'm more scared of some of the guys shooting me in the back before the bad guy does. But same thing in police work. Like when I would, you know, you have to take down a perpetrator and go hands-on and get into a physical mutual combat. I was actually less terrified of that than the cops that were behind me, right? Because the cops that were behind me are the ones that are going to be talking about it. Oh, he threw too many punches, or he shouldn't have did this, he shouldn't have did that. It's more fearful of the cops that are with you than the actual perpetrators, and that's so bad. It's sad that we got to that point.
But when I was in my IA, there was like 3 guys on the sergeant's list that were planning their career, just waiting for me to get demoted, praying I got demoted. They had already promoted themselves in their heads, and it was getting back to me, and I'm like, and these are guys I fucking like went to war with and worked with, and they're over here rooting for me to fucking get demoted so they can get promoted. And I'm like, you can have it. Like at that point, you take it. I don't want to be part of this fucking dog and pony show anyway. But that's I mean, it's the tale as old as time. The streets, we knew the bad guys were going to try to kill us. We knew the criminals were going to be criminals. I didn't know that the guys I worked with every day were going to do the things they did, and that's the most upsetting part of being a cop.
Yeah, I know it's in Florida, everybody has a gun, but in New York, you know, the golden ticket is getting someone a gun, right? I would get guys with guns every day. And John, we talked about this too, right? I walk into the command, we bring a perp in, and one of the cops takes out, you know, a couple of guns or one gun we got from the perp and put it on the desk, and you get cops under here, how do you get that? I'm like, what do you think I put in his pocket? You know?
Yeah. Oh, that's a hater mentality, man. That's that hater mentality.
They're too scared to walk up to a guy and frisk him or stop him. Yeah. They don't want to do that. So it's like, oh, he didn't walk up to you and hand you the gun, then I guess I'm never going to get one.
I've never seen a profession with more insecure men than law enforcement. If you can't walk up to a dude and go, fucking badass, dude, that's awesome. Or, dude, how do you do this? Can you teach me? Because I want to do this. I want to be like that. You got to fucking shit on him. You're a hater. And
humbled.
Yeah, the hate, that's crazy, dude. Like, have you guys experienced any crazy hate? Like we've had our lives threatened, our kids' life threatened. We've had criminal investigations put on us. I mean, like dude, we said about an active cop that threatened our kids, and so we're like, fuck this. You know, you're gonna cross over the line. You're an active cop. You're doing it at the behest of a mayor and a chief that don't like us. You know, and so like. I was like, fuck it. I called IAB. I'm like, this dude is whatever. I laid it all out. I put it all in a perfectly gift wrapped case for them. They found that the sergeant guilty. They let him retire. They never arrest him. And basically, absolutely nothing happens. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, what the fuck did we ever do for anybody to hate us like that? Like, I pushed back at the vaccine mandate. Most of the dudes, when I came out online, I was probably the first guy in the NYPD to ever do that. Like, come out online and just start blasting the NYPD. Like, they're a bunch of cowards. Their leadership, they're getting rid of thousands of guys. So I started going out in the media, doing all that. And I had all these guys that were against the mandate turn on me. They're like, fuck you. You're a fucking scumbag. It wasn't even real. I'm like, it wasn't real? People are getting fired. What do you mean? I was going to get fired if I didn't retire. Like, what do you mean it wasn't real? And then like the same thing when we started talking about all the corruption inside of New York City, which is all clearly documented now. It came out, right? Like it was basically the NYPD was being ran from the top as a criminal enterprise. You know, the rank and file didn't know. They're just going out there doing their job. But we had rank and file guys coming after us. And then the job protected itself, protected everybody, and really didn't investigate it. Like, have you guys experienced anything like real crazy? The NYPD sent the St. Johns County Sheriffs to my house. You didn't tell me. Like, sent them to my fucking house. Like swatted me. I was swatted by the IAB. The St. Johns County Sheriffs were cool, you know, but like it had nothing to do with them. But it was like, have you guys experienced that shit? And like, where do you like? Where's that fucking coming from? Like, that's the shit I don't get. You know,
I don't think we've ever had anything like that left the online sphere and moved to actual like people. I mean, like I said, we have haters online that clip us and that they watch everything we put out, which I don't know how they have a job, because between me and Mike, we put out fucking 40 hours of content a week. And so, but I've never, I can't speak for Mike, but I don't think I've ever had anybody, you know, visceral hatred for sure, especially when like I call like special forces fanboys, right? They're out there. And I went through, you know, a thing where I started calling it what it was. Is like, hey, you guys are people that have never served your community, never served your country. You're fat, you're overweight, and you obsessed with Navy SEALs, right? That's who you are. And I was like, this isn't the podcast for you. This is a podcast for the boys that have done something, that have at least laced up a pair of boots in their life and went to work. I was like, you're into guns and you're into Navy SEALs, mainly Rob O'Neill fans. Like and man, they would hit me from all angles. And I'm like, listen, dude, I was like, show me one picture of you in uniform, in any uniform. And they'd go away. I was like, because you fantasize about serving and having a flag on your arm or a badge. You fantasize about it, but you've never implemented it. And you always tell yourself, if I was going to do it, I would be like him. No, you wouldn't, because you haven't even started in the first place, because you're fucking 60 pounds overweight.
I worry a little bit more about my family. I don't worry about myself. I haven't had any direct threats, but I get guys call me from the sheriff's office and say, hey man, you know, they're talking about you, they're this, they're that. I don't put it past them for something. I know how crooked they can be, and how I worked there. I worked with the same guys that now I call out because they're garbage. It's a little scary sometimes to like drive around town. I'll be honest with you, and you never know what they're capable of. But I more so worry about my family, because I won't be there to protect them if they do some fucking shady shit there. But it's you know, you guys are at a big city. It's got to be a little more scary. Nobody showed up in my house. Nobody's like confronted me, but I get the little grocery store comment. Hey, you know, this guy was saying this or this guy was saying that. And it's like, I always say, this is my statement. You can call me a lot of things, but you can't call me a liar. I can back up everything I've posted. It's all public record. It's all there. It's just when you start to expose the monster, somehow they make you the monster. And that's what I've experienced, is I'm the bad guy for talking about it. Not that it's happening. The fact that it's all happening, it's true, is not the problem. It's the fact that you're talking about it. You're telling people about it. And that's the most backwards fucking thing I've ever heard in my life.
I think people are really naive sometimes. Like, for instance, I spoke to numerous cops. So John and I, we were getting, you remember talking about you create a meme page. So we had a meme page. It was called All Cops Awoke. That was threatening us and often threatening us on a constant basis. And John and I laughed it off, right? We didn't care. But then we got some real crazy stuff, like threats to our kids. It was pictures of duct tape, picture of a map from New York to Florida, some real sick stuff. And now listen, and threats to our kids. Hope your kids have a long life, and then a picture of a rifle. Now, I'm not scared of much. I'm just like you guys, not scared, but I'm not stupid either. I'm not scared, but I'm aware, right? So it makes you a little paranoid. Like, you need to be aware. I'm not scared at all. People are like, oh, this guy would never do anything. Well, how do you know? Yeah. How do you know? How do you know that he doesn't just have a sick obsession? I don't know who this person is, and shoots me when I'm not looking. I'm not saying that he's going to come face to face, but how do I know Or how do I know he doesn't incentivize someone else to do it because they don't like the things I say or the thing John says? So to say, oh, it's no big deal not to worry about it is really naive.
No,
now, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of much in life, honestly. Not even heights. But I'm not stupid either.
I'm more worried now. I'm more worried now than when I was a cop.
Exactly. You should be aware, right? Because there are people out there who say, you expose yourself, right? I don't like this guy because of what he says. And maybe they won't do anything, but maybe they incentivize someone else. I'm not worried about someone coming face to face. I can handle that. It's when someone comes and you're not looking.
No, yeah, but that's a great point. What he said, dude. Like we lived around the criminals we were locking up, and I was less scared there. You know what I mean? I was less worried about it. You have an active NYPD sergeant who sees no issue with threatening the life of kids. Like to me, I'm like, I never want to see any cop get fired. The minute he did that, I was like, all right, now we're taking your badge. Like, you talk all the shit you want to fight me, never show up anywhere, never show up at any events. I was like, dude, let's do a smoker, whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to do, we could do. But then you bring our kids into it, and the job did nothing. They protected him. They let him go. They found him guilty of aggravated harassment only administratively, never investigated him criminally. And then and when they got pushed on it, they didn't care because Eric Adams is a piece of shit. He's a coward, and he sent his criminal buddies to threaten us too, to try to shut us down, which was insane. I'm like, this is coming directly from the mayor of New York City and the police commissioner, and all that shit came out and nothing was done, dude. So it's been wild. So it like gives me a lot of comfort to see you guys out here doing the same thing, because I always say it. I'm like, most of these police podcasts are a bunch of fucking pussies. They're like living in the fucking past. They don't want to talk. I don't want to talk about politics. I don't want to talk about anything. I don't want to talk about this. And
everybody's
I'm like,
great. Everybody's great.
Dude. Then you don't give a fuck, bro. Don't pretend like you care about the profession.
You can only hear about the hot call. Like you can't only hear about those calls so much. I can only hear about what was your first call, what was your favorite call. Like, you can only talk about that so much, and it's like we have to get to the meat and potatoes of these problems, and this is what I think you guys are doing and what we're doing.
Modern Samurai, thank you, brother, brings up a great point. He says, like Eric said, the tiered system of punishment. Do you guys have the same thing in Florida? I think you kind of alluded to it. But what we find in the NYPD is there's a tiered system. There's no set standard. So if you're tier 1, means you're upper echelon, your leadership, you're untouchable. If you're tier 2, you got connections by nepotism or cronyism, you're untouchable. But if you're general population and you make the most small infraction, well, the hammer comes down on you. Do you find the same thing in Florida?
100%. Yep. I was able to expose that top administrators are using their car to go to airports out of the hour and a half away, using company gas, taking their kids to school out of county, black and white gas receipts, and nothing. They didn't even look into it. Nobody cared. You go do that. Rank and file guy goes and uses your car. Go ahead. Go take your car to Orlando Airport an hour and a half away. Yeah. It's impossible, and it is. If you're protected, and New York's so big, so I guess it could probably get lost where you can't really pinpoint all of them. You get to see the big ones. Here in Florida, it's not big, and you can see all of them just getting taken care of, getting brushed aside. They're allowed to do whatever they want, and it's how demoralizing is that the guys out there doing the job going, this guy just fucked this call up and didn't do a report, and somebody fucking died or somebody got their house broken into and nothing was done, and they're just like, he made a mistake and just get away. But you were late to work today, so you're getting written up. It's so bad. It's so bad.
All right, gentlemen. I appreciate you guys coming on here today, spending your morning with us. 40 hours of content is wild, bro. You guys are workhorses.
Tyler.
I thought we did a lot. We do like 10 hours a week, bro.
No, I'm not. I was kidding about 4. It just seems like every day when you're like, am I done for the day? You're like, fuck, I have another show like once a week. But we and Mike do the Antihero broadcast 1 p.m. live on YouTube. I think it works out perfectly after you guys. We go live for 2 hours. It's a fun. We try to mimic a radio show. We talk about real current events. We talk about issues in the job. We fucking have fun. And then, we have our own shows that we do outside of our network. That's, kind of like, if we can't cover it on Antihero or it doesn't really fit, or, there's different types of guests, we do smaller shows by ourselves, but me and Mike come together and it's the Antihero broadcast, and it's a good time. We call our supporters the 99% because they are just the average dude, man. we were getting sick of seeing, you know, I was sick and tired of that. We need to have big name guests on, big name guests, chasing the rabbit for the big guest. That's going to be and then eventually I was like, dude, fucking dudes just need a show to fuck off and have fun and, you know, make good points. So that's why we created the broadcast.
Listen, first of all, I want to say it's almost 2 hours, man. And I love you guys. You know, Tyler, we always talk all the time, and we have. And Michael, same thing, man. It's great to meet you, brother.
Awesome,
we
man.
built a network. Let me tell you something. We built a network. Cops Turn Podcast is throughout this entire country, right? We all know each other now. We talked to Marlon Marachi in California, Hector Bravo. We have this connection with cops throughout the entire country. And what is a breath of fresh air? It sucks to hear the shit you guys are going through, but it's a breath of fresh air. That's not just us. And then we're all mirroring the same thing and mimicking the same thing. We feel what's going on throughout this entire country. And thank God there are people like us willing to stand together, our friends and listeners. You know what? I love the haters, honestly. Keep bringing the hate because you're just proving our points. You're proving that we're right. Because if you didn't hate on us, we will say. And that's why they want to watch it. Because I also believe they watch it because I think deep down in places, you know, that they can't really dig themselves out yet. They want to say the things we say. They want to, but they just can't bring themselves into it. You know, it's just like, you know, a lot of guys, like you said, they fantasize about being Navy SEALs. They fantasize about being police officers, fantasize about being in the military. But it makes them feel comfortable to bring other people down. Well, because they see themselves, right? I can't do it, so they probably can't do it too. So hearing us actually speak out and tell the truth, it hurts them because they know they can't do it. So we got to keep, that's why even more, we have to keep doing what we're doing. And as I always say, John, thank you, brother. I always tell John, man, I honestly, all kidding aside, I tell John, dude, thank God we met each other. And I found someone like myself that's not willing to speak out. And now I say, thank God for Tyler. Thank God for Michael. And this group is growing of people that actually stand on moral integrity. And you know what? And I know this sounds crazy. I don't mean to sound radical. And there's people that want to get us. And I said to people, honestly, I'm willing to die for it because I'd rather die for something than live for nothing. And that's honest. So I thank you guys. Appreciate it. And if Michael, if you could plug your podcast and some of your clothing stuff, please plug away.
Yeah, appreciate it. The Instagram is at CopvilleOG, website CopvilleOG.com, and then my YouTube is at CopvilleOG as well. I release a recorded episode every Wednesday at noon, and then I do one of the side shows we talked about besides the Antihero Broadcast, which is every day at 1 p.m. I do Wednesday night, 7 p.m. with Dominic Izzo called Hot Topics. That'll be on tonight at 7. And then, of course, we're going live at 1 o'clock on the Antihero Broadcast.
Awesome, gentlemen. We appreciate you guys having you. Awesome. Guys, make sure you go over to Antihero, wherever you're watching or listening to this. Follow them. Follow Copville. I mean, great pages. I've been watching them for a while. I know Eric's been on multiple times. I actually went on not too long ago. So it's really been a pleasure, fellas. So we'll keep in touch and we'll do it again as things pop up. You know, we'll definitely
absolutely. Thank you guys so much.
No, thank you.
Yeah, you guys are welcome anytime. Fridays we do roundtables. Just talk about different discussions. You guys are welcome anytime. We'll bring you on a Friday. We'll let you know, and it'd be it was a great vibe today. So guys, Tyler, I love you, brother. I appreciate it, Michael. Pleasure meeting you, man. We'll
yes, sir. Thank you.
In touch. Thanks, guys.
Have a great one, guys. All right, yeah, that was awesome, dude. I like those guys. They're good. I'm telling you, they definitely remind me of what's happening. You know what I mean? Like what we've been dealing with. So it's like it is. It's like, all right, well, we're not the only crazy, people out here like saying what the hell's going on, and I'm glad there are other shows out there, and they do a heavy focus on the military for a while, and that's what when they really exploded, and I saw all the hate and stuff they were getting. I was like, wow, this is next level, bro. You can't even talk on a show. People hate words, man. People, they can't deal with it.
Well, here's the part that's pretty insane when you think about it, right? Like, oh, crazy guys like us. It's become a point that if you tell the truth and you actually give your own perspective, you give your anecdotal experience, that you're crazy. And that's the reality, right? Because people expect you to sit in this box and shut your mouth. Just shut your mouth and take it, and just pretend everything's honky-dory. And that's why I don't understand when people watch some of these podcasts where it's like, it's like people just have flippers like, oh, so great. Like Gold Shields, Tanya Kinsella, oh, you're amazing. John Shell, you're amazing. And it's like, do people want to watch that?
No.
I'm not saying that we shouldn't be respectful to people. We should absolutely be respectful. But that doesn't mean you actually have to have respect for everyone. So that's always my opinion. I treat everyone with respect, but that doesn't mean I have to respect you. And we have to be honest and call things out, you know. And again, I don't know how people do it. Honestly, I don't know how people do it. I ask myself all the time, how do you live a lie? I find that hard to do. I can't do that. I watched Rodney Harrison lie through his teeth about Daniel Pantaleo. How do you do that? You carry that. How do you continue to carry that lie around? To me, that seems exhausting. It's not something I want to do. To me, it's to tell the truth. It just rolls off the tongue. To tell a lie, you got to put work into telling a lie. Think about that. And it's not an honest answer. So how do you do that? How do you lay down at night, you look at the ceiling and live a lie? Is it really does it feel that good because you're playing politics and you're getting stars? I don't know. To me, that seems like a lot of weight to put in your chest.
I think it's hard to face reality and face the truth. I don't think it's an easy thing. And I think I was just like all these guys for a long time in my life. And I think the mandate pushed me over the edge. I really do. Where I was like, you know what? Like, why am I worried about being out here? You know, we talked about it, and it's weird. Like, they kind of echoed exactly a lot of the thoughts I had with like, I was like, I was like worried about my life and my past and all that stuff. And I was like, you know what? Screw this shit. Like, I'm not anybody that deserves to be treated like this. The guys I work with and the girls I work with, these teachers, these nurses, these firefighters, they do not deserve what's happening to them. So I'm going to be a coward and not speak my truth because I'm worried about people being mad about what I have to say, which is the exact truth. I'm going to worry about the upper echelons of the city and the New York City Police Department being butthurt about it. And so like it pushed me over the edge, but it was like, I could go to like pivotal moments in my life where I've changed and I've grown. And at that time, that was a really scary thing to do, dude. I'm not going to lie. Like, coming out and telling the truth wasn't something that I think was so easy. Like I said, I left my career. I was like, fuck this. Like, you're not telling me to put this in my body, and my doctors and your doctors are telling me don't do it. You know what I mean? Like, you're not telling me to live this lie. You're not going to tell me to have my kids do this when they're perfectly healthy. And I already brought this home to them. I was out there for this whole 2 years, and now all of a sudden, when it's over and we're opening the city back up, you're making me do something for no reason that, by the way, mostly nobody else did. You know what I mean? And I'm not willing to bend my integrity and put in a fake card. I wouldn't do it. I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Like, you're not getting me to do that, because that's a slippery slope. And ultimately, what? Then I'm gonna have to get a fake card for my kids. Like, no, I'm not doing it. Like we're just putting this fight up here. And that's it. But that was a hard transition, dude. Like, that really was. Like, to come out there was a scary thing. And I think a lot of people haven't had the ability or the need to do that. I don't traditionally think that they're bad people. I just think they've been doing this for so long. They don't think there's anything wrong with it, and they justify it. And there's never been, they haven't felt that push. And, for me, I like I said, I literally wrestled with God for like 2 months. I didn't sleep for like, I can't tell you, dude. And so I see a lot, like when I was listening to Rodney last night, I see a lot of my old me in him. Like, he's a politician. He's gonna like maneuver around things. He wants to fit in still. You want to be in the tribe. You want to keep your name moving up. You don't want to you want to be very calculated with your words. But like, I just gave it. I was like, you know what? No, I'm turning the filter off. I'm going to be the guy that I am in my house. I'm going to be the guy I am with my friends. I'm going to be the guy that everyone knows me to be. I'm going to be that guy in public too. Like, and you know what? And there's nothing wrong with it. And I'm not ashamed of it. And you know what? And so anyone that doesn't like me, I don't give a fuck.
That's how I feel, honestly. And I think it's exhausting to be fake. And I think Rodney Harrison is exactly what I've been talking about. I listened to him. Sound like he had a great career. He did a lot of great things in the police department. But as he moved up the ladder, he became more political. And he may not realize it. And I watched his interview twice, because I wanted to say, maybe I'm not giving proper assessment. I listened to it. I was on my bike. I was riding my bike, and I listened to it on my bike. Tom and Pete, great job. Great conversation. I said, let me watch it again. I want to watch it again and see if I'm wrong. And if he watched himself and was honest and said, hey, watch it and pretend he wasn't Rodney, if he listens to himself, he actually talks about how he becomes more political in his own career. He doesn't realize he's saying it. And to me, it's just some point you become fake. And I have a problem with that. I think to be fake is exhausting. You have to live this lie, and you live in a lie because the reality is there's no way that Rodney Harrison believes Daniel Pantaleo should be terminated, because he even said it in his own response. But what he said was, he said that Rodney Harrison was fighting with an adversary that was much bigger than him, and he applied a choke, and the adversary didn't die. So basically what he says, the only reason he didn't get fired was because of luck, and Daniel Pantaleo just ran out of luck. And so it's exactly what I've been saying, that there are casualties, and what he's saying is he's okay with that. And I have a problem with that, and that's why what I learned about and while, let me just say this, while it's one of the worst things that has ever happened to me, getting 8 sets of administrative charges in 6 weeks and thinking that I'll potentially get terminated for the police department, it's actually one of the best things that's ever happened to me. And some people are like, why are you saying that? Because I learned a lot about myself. I learned that I'm not afraid to stand alone. I learned that I'm not afraid of the worst, and that I could pick myself back up, because thank God for the Finest Unfiltered. John, I always appreciate you, because you and I got together, you know, and even that helped me, knowing that, you know, when I called you, said, listen, when I retire, I want to come out and speak about this. And, you know, we formed the podcast together, and I have a support system. But before that, I learned a lot about myself, that I wasn't afraid to stand alone. And so look out for the men out there that are not afraid to stand alone, because when I was faced with all those charges, everyone turned their back on me, and it was like I had leprosy, and I had to stand alone. And I learned a lot about myself. I learned it was okay to stand alone. And I learned that that fear I always have of losing your job. And I realized to myself, God forbid I lose the NYPD, I'll get another job. And that's the reality is. And so while it was terrible, it happened, it's actually the best thing that happened to me. And I learned I don't care what people think about me. I don't care if they like me. I care that they respect me and treat me like the way I should be treated. So don't be afraid to stand alone. That's what I tell people. I don't care what people think. I don't care if they like me. They don't have to like me. What they think of me is not my business. They can think I'm the worst person in the world. But how they treat me, they treat my family. So that's why it was such a great conversation with these guys. And it really is. The perpetrators, they know exactly who they are. They're face-to-face who they want. But these cops, you know, threaten our kids and things like that. I'm a lot more worrisome of that than the perpetrator. So it was a great conversation. Really, honestly, it's sad, but I'm more worrisome.
You know the old saying though, like a good sailor doesn't get made on calm seas.
Yes.
You know, and so like we've been through troubled waters, right? And like you get a little bit more skilled, and you get a little bit more awoken, and you know the dangers of the world, and you're a little bit more harsh, and you're a little bit more brash. And like, you know, I look at a guy like Rodney, like he's had a great career. You know, he makes it to the tippity top of the NYPD chief of department. And I'm not saying it was all sunshine and rainbows, but he had a pretty storied career. He did. You know, I think he's experienced all the things that cops have experienced. But, you know, I think guys that didn't have their backs against the wall and have the NYPD completely turn on them, or the city of New York completely turn on them, they'll never understand. And they're not awakened to it. Like that was your awakening moment, honestly. Like before that, it's like, you know, most of these guys, I look at these guys, dude, they get to retirement. They calculate to the penny the day they're going to retire, what they're going to do, this, that, the other thing. And it's kind of hard to ever badmouth a job that gave you, and I'm not even going to say badmouth. I'm going to say actually tell the truth and talk about a job that gave you everything, right? Rodney Harris said it. He grew up in the projects. Now he's a chief of department. I'm sure he lives very well now, Rodney, right? He has access to a lot of different things. He makes a lot of money through his experiences. He has the potential to be the police commissioner again. And Rodney, even though he was the chief of department, he's like the top of the top, right? Rodney is an example of mostly everyone on the job that came before our time, that came before 2020. They don't understand. They think the job's all hunky-dory. Like my brother-in-law is a lot older than me. He retired around 2017, 2018. Like him and all his friends came on in the 90s, like probably when Rodney came on or a little bit earlier. And I can't talk about policing with them. I'm like, you guys don't even know what we're having two different conversations. You have no idea the politics that are involved in policing today in New York City. You guys haven't been paying attention. You guys retired years ago. The job was great to you. Everything was great. It's not like that anymore, dude. And don't dare for 1 second tell me anything about my trials and tribulations in my career, because you didn't walk in my shoes. You didn't. And most of the guys, like a lot of guys, they come on and let's face it, they get taken care of. You know what I mean? I still laugh, dude. I still laugh. I'm like, the fact that I never got to a detective squad bothers me, because I'm like, I ran circles around every guy that I know that's like this great investigator. And I'm like, I ran circles around them in the street. And the only reason I never went to the detective squad is because bosses in the detective squads didn't like me because I wouldn't bow down to their shitbag detectives. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, it's fucking bullshit. You know what I mean? And like, so that's the thing. People like, so a lot of people have like fond memories of the job. They're like, this is all wrong. It's all bad. It was horrible that they were running a brothel upstairs in 1PP. It was horrible that they threatened your kids, but I won't dare ever say anything bad about it. Ever, not once. I will not tell the truth about it. I'm not going to talk about it. It's almost like, if your dad really was a piece of shit, but you love him and you're just not going to publicly say anything about him. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of what it resembles to me. It's like they know everything's fucked up, but they're just never going to say it, and nothing's ever going to change it. Nothing's ever going to change that.
Well, and that's why I have a problem with that, right? Because again, I will argue that all day to people. Rodney Harrison, to me, is a nice guy. He's a nice smile, speaks well. He had a good career, talks great about everybody. But does that make him a good guy? I think he's a decent guy. But does that really make him a good guy? Because I don't think we're tested by good moments. We're tested about those difficult moments. And that difficult moment was to be honest and say that Daniel Pantaleo got a raw deal. And a simple question was, should Daniel Pantaleo have been terminated or not? He couldn't answer it. And that, to me, says a lot. He couldn't just say, no, he shouldn't be fired, or yes, he should. Instead, he said, well, when young Rodney was fighting with a big perp, he choked the guy, and the guy didn't die. But if the guy had died, Rodney would have been fired. That's not an answer. That is not an answer. And to me, that answer means he's not a complete good guy. Because if you're willing to lie, I'm sorry. If my father, God forbid, may he rest in peace, but if my father was a rapist, I'm going to tell people he's a freaking rapist. I'm sorry. But
most people wouldn't. Most people wouldn't.
Well, that's why they're living a lie. I'm sorry. You can't, they're playing pretend.
But we'll talk about Rodney on Friday, because I think there was a lot of things in that interview. I thought Tom and Pete did a great job. I thought it was a great interview. I give a lot of credit to Rodney for going on and discussing it, but his answers really revealed a lot to me. And again, I don't think it's Rodney per se. I see why people like him. He's obviously, he's a good looking guy. He's a sharp guy. He's well spoken, but he's definitely a politician. And all of his answers were political, including the Pantaleo one. Every single one of them was apolitical, non-agenda, because, basically he said it. He's willing to go work for anybody. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I heard at the executive All Out. It's funny that, and we'll get into it more on Friday. But I heard at the executive All Out, Tish had walked in and said, "I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere." Like, well, I hate to break it to you, Jesse, but he kind of revealed something on there last night. If you were paying attention or you weren't paying attention, that he didn't interview, but he had a discussion. And like, I left there saying, okay, so you didn't get the job. That's ultimately what you're telling me. You didn't get the job. That's what I heard. I heard you didn't get the job, but they're looking for another police commissioner. And whether you know about it or not, I personally think you do know about it. But I heard she walked in real angry. And so there was a lot of things. I think there's a lot. We could talk about it more on Friday.
Well, I just want to say, well, these guys do a great job of masking everything. It's like, what he said to me was he did have an interview. It's an interview, just a conversation. It's almost like what the police would say, we don't have quotas. It's about personal growth. It's the same goddamn thing. You just want to put a fancy word on it. And that's what I'm saying. I'm sorry. I listened to Rodney Harrison. I don't want to insult you. Yeah, you had a great career. I'm sorry you got into that shooting and your friend got shot. You did some good police work. But I'm sorry, and I'm not going to excuse your responses. I wanted to throw up in my own mouth. When I listened to his response, I'm so disgusted here. Here's another guy who won't tell the truth. You know damn well these are political answers, and you're dancing and you're dancing around them and tap dancing. Like, I would love to get a guy like him from now on. Like, every chief or former chief, they should be intoxicated before they do an interview, because I want to hear their real responses, because that was bullshit. Half of that stuff he said was just complete political bullshit, and he's living a lie. You know damn well Daniel Pantaleo should have been terminated, and to say young Rodney did the same thing, but you just got lucky. Well, hey, I don't want the cops playing roulette. That's what you said. Daniel Pantaleo, he just had bad luck. He got a bad hand. Thanks. I'm sorry. I want to throw up in my own mouth, because I'm not fooled by his smile. I'm not fooled because he wants to be nice. That was bullshit. It's the same thing by the girl you see. She's so hot. She's smoking hot. She's got a hot body, but underneath she's a piece of shit. It's the same thing. He's got a nice smile. He says it well, but deep down he's full of shit. And I want to throw up my own mouth.
Well, I won't even say that he's full of shit. Like, here's the one thing. I think that interview was amazing, and I think that interview should be studied for a long time, because I think that he's been probably the most honest I've heard of anybody during this time, out of even more than Shell. Like, Shell's coming out making an idiot of himself, but I think he was the most honest, as he was willing to have the discussion and he was willing to answer the questions. Now, you might not like his answers, and that's fine. I didn't like his answers either. I thought he was playing total politician, but I was able to deduct a lot of stuff from that interview. And I was like, okay, I see who you are, Rodney. And I think that I know why people like you, and you are a politician. And like I've been saying for a very, very, very long time, when you get to that 2-star or above rank, you are no longer a police officer. That thing was in the past. You were a former police officer. That life is behind you. And now you've entered into a political atmosphere. Like, basically that was a politician interview. You know what I mean? That was someone that's like, I'm not going to go one way or the other with anything. And that's what he did. He rode the line. But even with that, that's why I say, I always say, like, I'll sit down with anybody. I'll have a conversation with anybody. I'm not going to beat them up if I don't like their answer. You answered it. It's fine. I know who you are. Like, you know what I mean? I know what you do. And so, like, I really appreciated hearing him. And I thought,
Me too.
Like I said, I really think that that's an interview. I think it's going to take us, I think that's something, we'll definitely talk about Friday. And I think there was a lot of stuff there that I didn't like.
Listen,
a lot.
Again, I often say opposition meets opportunity. If I had a conversation with him, he was a guest, I would treat him with respect. That doesn't mean I would like his answers. I hate his answers. I would still respect and allow him to speak. And I'm not going to tell him, oh, well, you're wrong. But I will say it's not honest. And think about what you just said. You said he was the most honest. We can't even say he was just honest. He was the most honest. It's almost like one of those NYPD tests. Which one is most true? Which one is most accurate? It's the same thing. It's like, which one actually was the most truthful? Because we can't just say they were truthful.
Forgot about those questions.
It's like,
I'm like, what the fuck kind of question is this?
Right? But it's honestly, it's like when we take an NYPD exam, it's like, which chief was the most truthful? Was it John Shell? Was it Ronnie Harrison? But we can't say which one was truthful because they're not. And that's the sad part.
Well, it was where I think it was truthful is you were willing to sit down and you were willing to answer questions. But the answers were, in my opinion, full of shit, and we could get into them. The only time I was really like, all right, yeah, this is cool, is when he was talking about his early career and when he was talking about being the CO, and he had the anti-crime cop. And he's put the anti-crime cop on midnights, and he was being a real dick to the guy, like, oh, and I think that was a great lesson. And I think, yes. I think that will help supervisors going forward. And I think he has a lot of experience that could help people, but you're not helping anybody when you're not really saying the truth. But yeah, I don't know. I'm sure Jessica Tisch is furious about the interview though, because that last part was real eye-opening, and it proved that a lot of people out here talking shit, saying they know everything and they got the inside track on all that shit. It's they really don't know what the fuck they're talking about, right? Because like I said, there was a certain podcast and a certain fake civil rights attorney and a certain group of people, individuals in the NYPD that were trying to myth build and get Rodney Harrison in that position. So yeah, I haven't changed my opinion. I think that Jessica Tisch is out by 2027. It's just not Rodney Harrison that's going to be taking that position.
I just better ping pong player than these other chiefs, right? Because so what? He says he'll answer any questions. That doesn't mean he's honest. Hey, if I go for an interview and they go, you know what? I'll answer any question you have. And they go, Eric, what color is the sky? I go, well, I'll tell you what, the sky is pink. I'll tell you, the sky is definitely pink. Next question. Hey, Eric, what color is your hat? My hat is definitely yellow, right? It's a yellow hat. Hey, next question. How tall is John? John is 5'2". Hey, I answered every question. Was I honest? No. And that's exactly what I'm saying. Somebody wants to answer questions. Again, every guy in the NYPD is the nicest guy because they smile at you. I see why people like Rodney. If you don't look below the surface, yeah. He isn't. I personally, I watched this. He's a nice guy. He is. Nice smile. Speaks well. Very, very polite. But that doesn't mean he's a good. I put a lot of emphasis on that word, being a good guy.
Yeah.
Would he stand up for someone?
Yeah, Nolan says, and I've been hearing this a lot, that Rosenberg was pissed and he mentioned us today. You know, I just got one message for Sid Rosenberg. Go fuck yourself, dude. Nobody cares, bro. You got an honorary sergeant shield for absolutely no reason. You know as much as your ponytailed boyfriend. So go fuck yourself, dude. I could really care less about Sid Rosenberg, what he's got to say. You know, it's a joke, dude. And just so you know, Sid, I've protected you from a lot of bullshit. Just your way, you know, because a lot of people have sent me a lot of bullshit about you since you came out of your face, and I'm just none of my business, bro. So just that, even though you're a jerk off, I still protected you. So just know that.
I got to push back on this. Michael Freed, you're a brother, a friend to the network. I love you, man. You're always here. I really do. But let's have an honest conversation. Michael Freed says, and he's talking about Rodney Harrison. He said he won't take the job because he doesn't want the mayor to tell him what to do. Really? Because what did he do about the vaccine mandate? He didn't push back against that. He did what they told him to do. So I have to argue that all day. I think that if you listen to his responses, he's a lot more political than you think, and he told you he is. So that's another lie.
Oh, it was a total lie. That was I didn't take the job because of politics. You
come on, please, Mike, bro, please.
Oh my God, dude. Dude, that was. I didn't take the job because of politics contradicted his whole prior statements. It contradicted everything he told you he was when it came to the vaccine mandate, when it came to Daniel Pantaleo, when it came to his assessment of Zohran Mondani's community safety plan. Like, yeah, I read it. He asked me to read it too, and he asked me what I thought about it. And you know what I told him? It's fucking bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. Like, you can't even answer basic questions. Until today, about a year later, he still can't answer basic questions on it. Basic questions. What hours are they going to work? How many people? What specific 911 calls are going to be there? These are questions that I had originally from reading it, and I still don't have the answer to it. So how the fuck could I possibly ever say that that's a good plan that could work? But Rodney, I guess when you're doing consulting and you're getting paid for doing things, I guess you can actually say, yeah, no, it's good. It's good. Oh, okay. Like what portions of it? What portions of it did you think could work? And so like, that's the thing that like, so when he sat there and said, oh, well, I wouldn't take the job because I couldn't do what I want to do and I'd have to be political. Like, dude, you just told us that you were more than willing to be political as the chief of department. You were more than willing to be political in retirement. So I'm not buying that bullshit. What I heard is I'm not getting the job. That's what I heard. Somebody else is getting it. That's what I heard.
That's exactly what I heard. Spot on. What he did say is he's willing to play politics. He said it numerous times. If you listen to that interview, and that was just a sidestep excuse to say, well, I'm not taking the job because I'm not going to do it if the mayor won't let me make decisions. No, if the mayor said you have the job, basically what you told us, you were taking it. So that was a complete lie. It's much easier to say that because it's not an honest answer rather than to say, hey, I was in the running. I just wasn't chosen. That would be the real answer. That would be the honest answer. So again, we go back to say most honest, most truthful, not truthful, untruthful. That's not again, we should rhetorically, I know it sounds kind of funny. They should be intoxicated before they get an interview. Maybe not like John Shell because he used to be intoxicated, but they should be intoxicated so they could actually tell the truth, because these interviews are not truthful. He told us, you listened to his interview, he told you that he became political in his career. It sounded far different from when he got on the job and his experience with Michael. And that's what the great point is. At some point when they climb that ladder, if you're willing, if you want to go further, you have to put your moral aside, integrity aside, you have to become political. And I think that decision has to be made. If you want to get to a certain point, we never got to that point. And the reality is we would have to make that decision. And I think we would have not gotten to that point because you and I don't want to play those politics. I sure as hell don't. I don't want to play politics now. I want to tell the truth. I feel better. I want to lay down at night and know I told the truth. I don't want to carry that weight of having to continue a lie. It's too much work, and it's just not something I want to do.
No, and if that's what you have to do, I mean, it's but again, I've been saying it forever now. Like you're like the new NYPD is you're never getting that non-political guy anymore. You're never getting that guy that isn't willing to do everything. Compliance is the key. It's not your competence level, and probably Rodney's there hasn't probably been a more competent person or experienced or deserving person of the chief of patrol since him. But he was like Marlon says, he was an empty vessel. He was willing to do whatever City Hall says we have to do. City Hall tells me I have to offer up my wife. I got to offer up my wife. I got to offer up my kids, and so, I just think that like you're not getting there, and that is the problem in policing. You're never getting a guy like Joe Esposito ever again, like just a regular guy, you're fallible, will make mistakes, will say things that maybe you probably shouldn't say on the, you shouldn't say out there on the air, and like not a political guy, just a regular street cop type of chief of department. Someone said it on here about Mike Marino. Mike Marino was one of those chiefs, right? He was not a political chief. He was a guy that said what he thought. He cared. Some people loved him, some people hated him, but he was just that regular guy. Like Mike Marino was Mike Marino. Like he wasn't two different people. He wasn't Mike Marino at home and then Mike Marino at work. He was Mike Marino. And the same thing with Joe Esposito. And I just don't think that is the new style of policing. The new style of policing is everybody's a fucking genius. Everybody either goes to the FBI Academy or the Harvard Academy, and they come back and they tout that accomplishment the rest of their life as if they're an academic genius. And it's like, dude, you're no smarter than everybody else. Like you just went to a different school, And I always laughed at all the Ivy League guys that were in the NYPD. I was like, oh, bro, yeah, you went to Yale, you went to Harvard, yeah. Boo fucking who? You're in the NYPD and I'm your boss. So, who cares? Nobody cares. Like, you're not special, dude. But those are the people that are going to go ahead. The people that will have themselves used as an empty vessel, or what I like to call is a hand puppet. You have to be a hand puppet to these politicians. And for over a decade, we've had nothing but people in these positions that are hand puppets. And I don't think anything changes with the name. You could take anybody else. Oh, Eric Dim's going to be the next police commissioner. Oh, really? That means that Eric Dim said, I'm going to spread my orifice and let whoever the mayor is stick his hand up my mouth and move my mouth for me. Because you're not getting full control of the New York City Police Department, and they're not going to let you run it the way you want to run it. They're going to want the gang database taken down. They're going to want you to get rid of SRG. They're going to want this get rid of pepper spray. What did I just see? What did I just put out yesterday? They want city council wants to make it a crime for you to give a PBA card to somebody. How you could even enforce that is beyond. It's not even worth talking about because it's so stupid. It's like violates every basic principle of rulemaking and lawmaking. But like you have to align with all of this in order to hold that position. And I just, and so anyone that's willing to do that, I don't care who you are. I don't care what your career was. I don't care what you did. You showed what you're willing to do, and you're willing to take more than a knee. You're willing to bend your integrity, and it's disgusting. And it could be anybody.
That's why I'm not fooled by the nice presence, the nice smile, and the diplomatic speaking ability by Rodney Harrison. I'm sorry, yeah, nice guy, not a good guy by my standards, and I'm not saying maybe someone else's standards, but by my standards, not a good guy, not not willing to answer a simple question that didn't require an explanation. Simple question: should Daniel Pantaleo have been terminated? Yes or no? But instead, he gave a lengthy answer. That's not a real answer. It didn't require an explanation. Very simple answer. Should he have been terminated or not? And he didn't answer the question. That says a lot to me. So there's a lot of nice guys out there. Yeah, speaks well, looks good on camera. That doesn't mean they're a good guy. If you want to be fooled by that, God bless you. If that fools you, that doesn't fool me. You know what? Be careful with your kids then. Are you going to just let your kids go off of people because they have a nice smile and they look nice? Right? No, you wouldn't, right? So what's any different, right? What's any different? Yeah. Guy sat on camera, nice presence, spoke well, but he knows damn well he had to make that change. Maybe when Ronnie Harrison was coming up, maybe he was a good guy, but at some point he made that decision to go up that ladder. And that's why, John, we would have not went up that ladder. We're not willing to. Absolutely. If I want to be police commissioner, I have to be willing to change who I am. I have to accept the mayor's in charge and go with his ideology. So I'm not taking that job. No.
Did you hear? I heard this morning before we went live. Did you hear about Richie Taylor?
I did.
So he got transferred to the Criminal Justice Bureau. It's going to be a hard transition, Richie, because we know you don't know shit about police work or the criminal justice system. And we sure know you don't know about the arrest process. We know that. Like, the guy was never a cop, never a sergeant, never a lieutenant, never a captain, never ran a fucking thing, never put his hands on anybody. But he got I guess he pleaded guilty to stealing time, and he paid back thousands of dollars. Why that's not a crime, I don't know. If you're paying back thousands and thousands of dollars.
Tier one, brother. That's why.
I'm sure one podcast will tout that as this was our crowning achievement in life. I don't know the obsession with Richie Taylor. I don't really know why. I mean, he was a zero. He's always a zero, in my opinion. Someone I never had any respect for. But a guy like Richie Taylor, that is the guy that could rise to the top of the police department. Guy like Richie Taylor, like, he was headed to be the chief of community affairs 100%. And you blew it, Richie, because I don't know what you had it by the balls. You had your career basically handed to you on a silver platter. All this dude did is just ride off of being Jewish. That is it. Showed up at the community events. When the shit got hard, he ran in his car like a little girl and got out of there. When the protesters came, when all the anti-Israel protests came, you couldn't find Richie Taylor anywhere. You could probably find him in his car racing to get out of there, to get out of the uniform and sign out.
I have a problem with that. I'm Jewish, and I don't tell people I'm Jewish and blah, blah, blah. It makes no bearing. It shouldn't make any bearing on any decisions. I shouldn't be picked for something because I'm Jewish, or not picked for something. It shouldn't have any bearing. I have a problem with that.
Yeah, no, he was a DEI hire at his finest, bro. He was 100%. A DEI chief, at its finest. And the thing is, he didn't even have the Jewish community. And that's why that whole thing came out, is because the Jewish community couldn't stand half the shit he did,
Speaking of what's going on in the city, all the Jewish people getting beat up the other day, and the city has zero response. Terrible job what they're doing out there right now. Just absolutely terrible.
Yeah. We'll talk about it on Friday. I saw a Minch out there on that protest, and again, so it's crazy. They staffed that protest with 400 cops, not SRG, so they were fully known what was going to happen, but they didn't have the balls to actually to keep it under control. And you see chiefs locking people up. You see cops nowhere in sight. It was the most mismanaged thing I've ever seen in my life. And again, it's all of these guys, right? Whether it's Edwards, whether it's Minch, whether it's whatever, they're all trying to follow this fucking bullshit protest posture. None of them want to do their job and be leaders and step up and make the call and say, bring SRG in here. Have these guys do what they got to do. Nobody wants to do it. And so these things are getting more and more dangerous. These mass gatherings are soft targets, and it's not if, but when you're going to see something really bad happen at this, and the blood's not going to be on my hands. It's going to be on all you motherfuckers in the rank and two-star chief that want to play politics, and you want to be the next fucking Orpheus. You want Mondani's hand. You want to feel it in the back of your throat all the way up smooth, and you want to get used as that empty vessel, or that you want to be that hand puppet. It's going to be on you guys. And I'll tell you right now, I don't care who you're friends with, who I know that what we know together. I'm going to be calling it out, because like I've been saying from the get-go, it's reckless. It's intentionally reckless. It's criminal what the police department in the city of New York are doing. They're intentionally leaving They know better than what they're doing. 400 cops and you couldn't keep it under control. And you're out there putting handcuffs on people. I'm sorry. Yeah, leading from the front, all that. If you were running the protest competently, you would not see Aaron Edwards running around like an idiot, like he's a 9-month-old rookie locking people up, and you wouldn't see Minch doing it either. The reason you're seeing that is because the protest posture is not only incompetent and inept, it's not only emasculated, it is reckless. It's intentionally reckless. You know?
Yeah, that's 100% right. Like I said, we're going to go more into depth on Friday down our roundtable, but I think it's important we just touch on it right now because it's so it's so trending of what's going on in New York City right now. It's just absolutely disgusting, embarrassing to watch. And if you're a cop out there right now with these protests, please be careful out there. We always hear that stupid term, be careful. When I say be careful, actually be careful and defend yourself because you're on your own right now. And I think this could turn there is going to be blood. There's no doubt about it. These things are progressively getting more violent. So I say be careful out there. Actually protect yourself. Defend yourself because they're not going to defend you. And if you lean on these chiefs and you lean on this upper echelon, you're going to find yourself in a world of hurt. And Chief Edwards looks absolutely ridiculous out there. It looks like a lack of leadership the way he's running around at this point because of the posture of the protest. Jessica Tisch said the posture would remain the same. So that's exactly what you're going to see. So I do anticipate more potential attacks, potential deployment of bombs or IEDs, just as we've seen before. And unfortunately, luck only lasts so long. And I think that luck could run out sooner than later. So if you're a cop out there, be mindful of what's going on. Unfortunately, you're on your own right now because the leadership is pandering to politicians and they don't care about your safety. Clearly, because what we saw at those recent protests are absolutely disgusting. It's disgusting that we've gotten to that point. I feel sorry for those cops. You and I could fix that in 5 minutes. 5 minutes if you actually cared, if you actually had the proper leadership. SRG's not there and to be found. Shame on them. Shame on anyone that's not willing to tell the truth about it.
You know, but just to be fair to the Chiefs too, like where are the sergeants and the lieutenants that know what the fuck they're doing and have balls and be like, Chief, I got this.
Where are they? I don't know. Do they?
Where are they? Like what happened? The sergeants, lieutenants gone? I mean, like I've had cops tell me, boss, oh, what are you doing? We got to do this. You know, we don't have lieutenants and sergeants that do that anymore. You know, it's told to you so back when says, didn't a lieutenant with 19 years on get fired for stealing time? Yeah, he did. 19 and a half years on, he got fired. But, you know, he's not in with the in crowd, you know, Italian guy, you know, he gets fired. Richie Taylor just has to go back to the academy to learn that he actually is a cop and what the police department does. He could actually learn a function in the police department other than kissing people's asses. So congrats, Richie. You deserve it, you fucking jack off.
With that being said, listen, 2 hours and 40 minutes into it. I want to thank you, everyone. Like, share, and subscribe. We appreciate it. Antihero here today. Tyler Hoover and Michael Dilks. Awesome. Great vibe. Those great guys. Real great conversation and really a breath of fresh air hearing that they have experience, are still experiencing the same things on and off the job. So if you missed some in the beginning, look back. Great conversation. And I guess we should get to the coffee and donuts. And as always, John, you know, we got to keep trucking, brother.
Yeah. Let's get to the coffee and donuts. Before we do, I just want to address this because this is something that comes up every time we do an interview. Wish the boys on the 10-4 Tavern would have pushed back harder against Chief Harrison, overstating he did the same thing as Pantaleo, but would have deserved to lose his job if the outcome was different. Look, I mean, the question was asked. Harrison gave you his answer. Like, you can't force someone into giving the answer you want to hear. Like, what is it? Like, that's his answer. That's what he gave. In my opinion, that is an interview. Like, what? Oh, I don't agree with you. Okay, what? Okay, well, this is what I think. Like, what's the pushback? You know what I mean? You're not ever fixing anybody's answers. You ask the questions, they give the answers. Same thing. Go back to the Mandani interview. We asked questions. He gave answers. We hated every single one of them. We asked him the next question. It is what it is. Like, what are you gonna do? You know, like so like that's just something that we always hear for every interview. Wish you guys would push back harder. Again, you know, if you watched, I guess Hannity took a note from this podcast because I've said for a long time that was the worst interview I've ever seen in my life is when he interviewed Bill de Blasio. But if you watch recently, he re-interviewed Bill de Blasio. And instead of trying to beat an answer out of him, he just let de Blasio answer the questions. And then he just kept moving on. And he did more of our style of interviewing, and it was a much better, more palatable interview to watch. I think they did a great job on the 10-4 Tavern, and like I said, I respect everybody. I respect everybody's opinion. I just think Rodney Harrison was a politician. That was it. There's not you weren't changing those answers, bro. If you wanted more smoke up your ass, I mean, I didn't necessarily need to hear it. You know, if you did, I don't know. Like, what would you like to hear? Like, you know, let us know, because, you know, maybe we could fix it in one of our upcoming interviews. But I don't think there's anything you could really do. I ask you a question, you give me an answer I hate. What should I do? What'd you say?
I think what we're doing now is exactly what you should do. Is have the interview, let your guests speak, give them the respect to give them the floor, and then, you know, we have a conversation afterwards saying, hey, what did you think about the responses? Right? I don't think we should interrupt and say, no, you're wrong, and, you know, and force him to give a different answer. That wouldn't be honest either. That's his answer. And now we have a discussion about what we think about his response. And Michael Freed says, you take it as his answer as a yes, he would have fired him. I take it as his answer was he ran out of luck. That was what I got. Rodney Harrison got lucky. The guy didn't die. And in Daniel Pantaleo's case, he got unlucky. So I think his answer was, you need luck on your side. That was the answer.
Yeah. Would have enjoyed working for me. All right. Okay, let's get to the coffee and donuts. Let's do this. We got 15 today. Thanks everybody for weighing in. So Anthony says, keeping us informed. Anthony, thank you for always being here, brother. Thanks for weighing in on always weighing in. Finest 25, Diecast 516 says, absolutely spot on. Thank you, brother. Thanks for always being here as well. Mon Samurai.
Thank you so much.
Mon Samurai says the anonymity, I don't know, I can't speak today, of the internet has created a sad dynamic in society where people who were never heard gear up with all the other cowards, or team up with all the other cowards, and now have a voice so they can talk shit about getting a slap without getting a slap. Yeah, without getting a slap.
Mon Samurai, thank you for a great friend to the network, and we appreciate generosity, man. Seriously.
Well, he said that he bought Axon, bro. So now I'm like, all right. You bought Axon.
I think you should have given stock tips. By the way, buy Axon.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, it's been getting crushed lately, Axon. So, but I definitely want to dip in. But I'm like, how stupid were we? Like, how come like this wasn't something we were all just buying into? We should have been putting like even if it was just a few $100 a check aside. The thing was $20, dude. It's like it went up to, at one point it was like almost $1,000 a share. You know, sick. So dumb.
We missed the boat.
I made so many bad mistakes on the internet, on stock trading. You guys are dope. Come talk shit on Mike and Tyler with us in the comment section. Might even get a dick pic or two. We're good, bro. You guys do that over there. We're good. You know,
I'll pass on that one.
We're in enough group chats in the NYPD. We don't need any more gay porn shit. You know.
I was getting my cops are sending that quite often.
I like it's so bad. Like, it's been so many years since the internet and since like text messaging and shit. There's certain people that when they text me, I won't even open their text unless I'm completely in private. Like, I have to be totally in, because you don't know what's coming out. Things just like, fake news articles. I'm like, come on, dude.
Yep.
So, funny stuff. Upstate Detective. Good morning, brothers. Another great interview. Awesome. Thank you, brother. Thanks for being here. It's told to you so back when. Cops are the biggest backstabbers ever. Unfortunately.
Thank you.
Told to you back when. Said rumor is Chris Kyle was going to come clean. Have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know.
Same here.
Look. With any story about people being a legend or like tales always often sometimes spin. You know what I mean? They spin and they make you into this greater person than you are. You know what I mean? Or they embellish on your exploits. Doesn't mean you necessarily took part in it. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes tales just grow a story of their own. You know what I mean? And then it just keeps getting retold and retold and retold, and each time it gets embellished on. Doesn't mean that you were that you were involved in it. Monon Samurai. I remember when a young lady got killed on the tracks at 125th and Lex, and not a single soul gave her a hand to help. Just took videos to the post and on the internet. The death of society. It's sad.
Yeah, it's sad. I think people really do thrive on watching and recording things and actually helping. So that is truthful. That's true. That's why we need strong men, man. We need strong men out there to help people. 100%.
Yeah, that's why I like the Trust Mula video. I really did. I was like, this, if we had more of this in society, we'd have a much safer society. People actually helping out. And unfortunately, when you have an inept police department and an inept police response, that's what happens.
Who better to police the community than the people in the community? So,
yeah,
100%.
So Nate Murphy, he was saying about Mike, that was a funny appreciate it. That was funny. Yeah. I actually do have the videos. I'm going to watch them, but it's, whatever. We don't got to put it on here, but he manned up. He said, look, I did it. It was stupid. And now I tell other people not to do it. Nothing wrong with that.
Hey, listen, it was honest, man. That was an honest answer. Legit.
The Smith says TRT is like joining the NWO. It's for life. And it's just too sweet. Take TRT, train your butt off, eat clean, be better. Mike's the new Hogan, bro. He's like, eat clean, say your prayers.
Mike's hilarious.
And train, brother.
Hogan's thing was what was the bandana, right? We got to get something for Mike. Mike needs like a special hat or a wristband. I don't know. We got to get something for you, Mike.
But dude, like wrestling was so awesome in the 80s, bro. I watched that documentary, and it just brought me back to being 8 years old and being like, yeah, I want to do that. I want those muscles. Like, you know what I mean? I want to do like, and how many kids were like that? It was a whole generation of kids. And we knew it, and we knew it was fake. But like, you still were like, not that it was fake, but we knew their personalities, they were different than those personalities. You know what I mean? And we were still like into it. Yeah.
That's why I like Sean Strickland so much. I think a lot of UFC has like this WWE undertone, like a lot of these arguments and stuff. I do believe they're kind of fake. The fight is real, but I think those are fake in some way in amping up these fights. But what I like about Sean Strickland is he's always like, because we're American. There was a time in the 80s, it was like so proud to be American. And American was, when you heard America, you thought of alpha male. Like you think of Schwarzenegger, like in the movie Predator, putting on all the makeup, jacked up. Carl Weathers, we know when they in the movie Predator, right? Just everybody jacked up, and Rambo.
No,
right? There was a time when it was like an honor to like want to be an alpha male. Like it wasn't toxic. You wanted to be Rambo. You wanted to be Rocky. You wanted to be Commando. Like probably one of my favorite movies, Commando, right? He's out with his kid. He's just in the middle of nowhere, doesn't want to be balling anymore, and his kid gets kidnapped. Like, and he just goes out there and wrecks everybody. And like, it's just about being the alpha male. And that was America. If you think of America now, you don't think of those things anymore. But years ago, that's when people thought of America, they just thought of like badass with American flag. It's a good time.
I remember Hogan coming out with the American flag. Like that was like, I get testosterone just thinking about that, bro. Like him coming out with the and waving the flag around, fighting the Iron Sheik or Mr. Fuji or one of like
wow, good memory.
Like all these dudes. Like it was a different time, man. It was a total different time. Yeah.
I mean, it's like the world has changed, man. It's like in America, people have somebody was telling me the other day, like, hey, so and so is having a gender reveal party. I'm like, yeah, do they? Do they also do they have an option of non-binary? Like, is it male, female? It's non-binary, because that's what the world has come to. It's like it's not America anymore. It really isn't. Yeah.
Nolan. Look, we appreciate you, brother. Nolan donates $100 to the podcast. He says, John, if I come on the Finest Unfiltered, I would love to discuss the connection between Eric George Jefferson Sanders, the ponytail Judas, Steve Bishop Lee, and that connection is Kristen M. Davis, previously known as the man. Dude, nobody wants to watch this. I'm just letting you know. Like, no one, like, who do you think is going to watch that show? Like, seriously, like nobody, I don't even want to take part in it. Nobody cares, bro. Like you got to beef with them, settle it out with them. If the ponytail wants to have you on his show, you know, go on a show. But like, we're not here hosting like feuds. Like, have you ever seen us host a feud about people? Like, I mean, like, you know, get in contact with them. You know, it is what it is. It has nothing to do with us.
The WWE thing, John.
It has nothing to do with us, bro. Like, we don't care. I mean, like, I know I don't care. No, Eric doesn't care. Marlon doesn't care, and I'm sure everyone in the chat does not give a shit. Nobody wants to see that, you know. And I'm sure the audience, nobody wants to see it. It's you know, it is what it is, dude. Like, you know, you keep bringing it up, bro. It's ridiculous.
I do appreciate the coffee and donuts, but it is funny. He's so Stephen Lee.
It's all day long. Like, I'm like, dude, like, what the hell, bro? Yeah. It's told to you so back when. Axon is the new OCP or CCP. I don't know.
I can't even say it.
But whatever. Look, I personally, like, when I look at these companies, I don't look at them as the evil empire. I just look at somebody who has a profit motive. And I think some of their technology, a lot of the technologies is good technology that could be used correctly, that could benefit society. I just think that departments are misusing it now. You know, I'm not so anti-body camera, but I just knew that, like, how it was going to be used. You could just tell by the politics of the city how they were going to use it, and that's exactly how they're using it. They're using it to penalize cops, you know. So it's told to you back when. Says John, give credit. That quote, Tanya Meisenholder. Oh, about the 30 for 30 movement when we're talking about the Asian women. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not bashing Asian women, but like, if someone at that time was like, oh, you guys only want white people? It's like, no, dude. But like, is that really the demographic that you're going after for police officers? Asian women? Like, it's ridiculous, dude. If you want to go after people that want the job, are there Asian women that could kick my ass? Absolutely, there are. That's just probably like, what you want is people that are qualified. You shouldn't be targeting any specific gender or any specific race. And if you are, it violates equal opportunity law. You should be chasing a standard. Not demographics. There should be a standard you're chasing, not a demographic standard. But that's unfortunately what it is.
I approve that message.
It's told you back when. Says, which podcast is in better shape? I mean, hands down, we are. That's not even a question. I mean, you were watching the show. You know,
that's hilarious. That's pretty funny.
Maybe we could do a gladiator event. You know?
Oh man,
about the gladiators, bro. That was a great show.
That was a good show.
Remember the gladiators, dude?
Yeah, that was good.
Fight on the thing, like, that was awesome. We're gonna do it back with Gladiator.
There was a Netflix special on it, like how these guys were like, they were legitimately.
Oh yeah, I should watch
crazy
that.
Shit.
I gotta watch that. What were they, like, Nitro? Or like, they had these weird names, right?
They were, yeah, very funny, yeah.
Yeah, and the girls were jacked too. Those girls, I remember the girls. I don't remember their names, but they were jacked too.
She was a male.
Danny Curinza, he says, welcome to the show, guys. John is bipolar and mental, and Eric likes to talk about ball gags and weird stuff. Enjoy your stay. All right, we could call you a lot of things, Danny, but we can't call you a liar, you know.
We do talk about ball gags, though. Okay. But thank you for the coffee donuts.
We got some more while we were on. John, do the baton. What do you say again? What are you talking about?
I think you did something with the baton. Some little one of your gay skits.
This is my Brooklyn beater, bro.
Oh yeah.
You never know when you need a baseball bat, bro. It's funny. I don't know if my tree got hit by lightning or if a truck hit it or something. I don't know what the hell happened, but I came out this morning and my huge tree limb was down on my thing. So I was out there sawing a tree limb off. I was like pulling it around. My neighbors must have been like, what the hell is this guy doing? And then I like cut it up real quick.
You weren't hitting with your baton?
But I would have tried. I would, if it was a little sharp, I would have tried to use it.
The Brooklyn beater. You brought it to Florida.
Smith's bullying Joe. Don't bully Joe, Mike. You know, he can't handle it. He says, Joe, shut the fuck up.
Joe 14. Joe, you know what Joe 14 said? Actually, he said, why don't you guys have call-ins and accept criticism? Dude, we let you troll us all day. What are you talking about? You're in the chat trolling us.
Joe, send the super chat. Send the super chat and we'll read it out for you.
Yeah.
You know, that is our call-in. Our call-ins are the super chats. Yeah.
Joe, knock yourself out, brother. Say all the stuff you want about us. I love it. Yeah. I gotta admit, I love it. I love, like, when people say dumb shit. I think it's hilarious. I don't feel it at all. I laugh. I enjoy it.
America is your guest. Just kidding. Riding a bike on the post.
Oh God. JK doesn't need the seat.
Yeah.
Nice shirt.
Funny stuff, dude. So
is there more?
Joe says, John, you haven't seen the gym. Okay, Joe. Okay. I'm gonna come down to Wall Street. I'll come work out at Equinox down there. All right.
I don't understand. You haven't seen the gym. Okay.
Yeah.
Joe, have you seen the gym? Joe, do me a favor. Put in the chat if you could put a picture of your gym membership. I'd like to see what it is. Do you go to Planet Fitness?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And again, Joe, I guarantee I could do more push-ups, more pull-ups. I guarantee I crush you, dude. Even though
Joe 14 says, have me on the podcast. Then if you want, we'll have a challenging debate. Yeah, we don't even know who you are, dude. Like, where's your picture? Like, who are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, just because I'm 3'8" doesn't mean that I can't beat you out physically. We just have to set different standards for me. Like, obviously can't jump up and touch the high things. For the pull-up bar, you have to have a ladder for me so I could get up to it. All these things.
Nolan's got another 100.
Damn. Here we go, Nolan. John, you don't have to bring me on for my beef with Sanders, Lee, and Sally Boy. But the ponytail Judas. Excuse me. But don't ignore it. I am not throwing shit against the wall to see if it sticks. It is what it is. Again, we don't know what the beef is between you guys. We have no idea. So.
Well, curious, what is the beef?
I don't know. We don't even know what that beef is with us, dude. Honestly. So, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know where all the hate came from and all that. But like I always say, imitation's the highest form of flattery, right? So we're flattered.
I love it. I love it.
Mon Samurai said that's the problem. All these agencies are chasing demographics and no longer care about standards. No run. Obesity is okay. No problem. Yeah, and I really love that they brought out the fact of it's not just a New York problem. It's everywhere problem. Like they're like, yeah, they want all these physical standards, yet they're fat bastards who can't tie their shoes. And it's like, oh yeah, that sounds familiar.
It was interesting to hear, right? Because and I mean it, we think Florida's like the promised land. All the cops want to go there, but they told you Florida's got their problems. So it's the whole country right now has just been played. The law enforcement profession has been played. It's a hard possession. It's a hard profession to be in right now. If you want to be in it, good luck.
Rob says 3'8". It's officially a small podcast.
3'8". John, pretty soon you're gonna be a dwarf. You get shorter every day.
No, I'm already a halfling. That's halfling, right? Yeah.
I'm only 5'10". I don't know if people think I don't know.
Eric's 6'4", bro. When you see us,
I'm only 6'4" laying down.
Yeah. So, all right, peoples. Look, we appreciate it. Looking forward to Friday. Friday will be a good show. Marlon will be on. We seen he had a lot of comments about Rodney, so I'm curious to see what he's got to say. It'll be a good show. We'll definitely talk about that. We're definitely going to talk about those riots that occurred in Brooklyn, where they targeted the Jewish synagogue, and just a horrific, inept response by the NYPD. Look, we bashed Edwards. We're gonna bash every other 2-star that's involved in it. Whatever borough you're in, this is how you're gonna handle your guys. This is how you're gonna handle the streets of New York City. Well, welcome to the Finest Unfiltered, because you will be a topic of conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, hit 3 hours into it. I think today was an awesome show. I want to thank Antihero for coming on here today. Tyler and Michael, awesome show. Guys are cool as hell. Definitely, salt of the earth, just like us. They want to tell the truth. They just, they don't want to live a lie. That's super cool, and I respect that. And thanks to all our friends and listeners. I appreciate it. Keep the algorithm going. We're climbing. We're getting towards that 300,000 subscribership, and then that's because of the engagement we appreciate. It's not about the numbers for clout. It's about growing so that our message can get out there and we can help each other. And our friends and listeners, you're a big part of it. And the trolls, I don't know if you realize that you're a big help too. I don't know if you're intentionally trying to help, but you're helping. You're helping us grow, and you're helping us pass on the message and proving that what we're saying is important, and what our friends and listeners also think is important. And I'm glad that we formed this network. We have between us, Antihero, and different cops that have turned podcasts, or just guys that are out there in social media. And we really have built this network. The other day I had a great conversation with Lenny from Purpose Over Pension. I had a great conversation with him. Turned out a really great guy. Great story. We will have him on here soon, maybe a couple weeks from now. It's been quite busy, but I had a great conversation with him. Really nice guy. So shout out to him. He made detective in the NYPD as an NCO. I had a great conversation. Really nice guy. I liked him very much. And so if you follow his stuff, pretty cool. So with that being said, thank you everyone. And let's just be honest, man. John, I find that hilarious when we said who's the most honest. Mine's the NYPD test. Just be honest, right? Can't be most honest or least honest. Like just be real. That's it, man. Just be real.
We should have but that is, they're definitely going to teach you about that in the key for those of you that signed up. The most correct. I hated those questions. I was like, what do you mean the most correct?
It's terrible, right?
Well, there's other ones that are correct, but this one's the most correct. Yeah. That's how they get you on the thing. So shout out to everybody. Key had over 5,000 people sign up for that test for their course, and it's legit. And I understand why. I understand why. So I'm happy for them. And
listen, shout out to George, man. Every time I see him on social media, he doesn't have a shirt. Good for you, brother, because you earned it. And that's what Michael said. He's right. I never did TRT, and I want to. Like I said, I've been on the road, and it's not a magic potion. You still have to put in the work. So George is putting in the work. So outstanding, brother. Good for you, man. You look great, brother. You're an inspiration. Seriously.
George, if I ever go gay, you're my number one, bro. All right. So
well, the old saying is, right? I'm not gay, my boyfriend is. So you can say the same thing.
If I ever go gay, you're my number one, bro. So, but yeah, no, that's it, people. So, other thing, just a little housekeeping. We're approaching about a little bit over 2 million views a month. Most of that is generated through our short content. I know a lot of you guys like the short content better. It's a little bit more palatable, a little bit easy to listen to. We appreciate that. We will be bringing you more short content as a result of your criticisms. But we get about 2 million views a month on YouTube. We get a lot less than that on audio. So for those of you that aren't subscribed, please subscribe. Please leave a comment, a like, whatever. Definitely like us. Hit the hype button if you're watching this after the stream. Really appreciate it. Really helps us move up in the algorithm. Still, with all of the engagement that we do get and the views that we do get, there's only about it's less than 40% of the people that return are subscribed or actually subscribe to the channel. And the same's true on the audios. So we get a lot of engagement. We get a lot of you guys out. I mean, even when I look at my social media numbers, I'm like, I look at it, it's like 5 million a month on my Instagram. And I'm like, how do I only have 23,000 followers, And the same's true with this. And then when I look at the long form content, those get a lot less than our shorts do. You know what I mean? Those things, some of those do go into the stratosphere. Yeah, so if you could just do us that favor, if you could like, share, subscribe. If you're on the audios, please subscribe, whatever platform you're on. If you're on a different platforms as well, if you could subscribe to us, if you could leave us a little note, hit a review, we'd appreciate it, man. So we're growing, a lot of big things happening behind the scenes. We're excited to tell you guys about that when those things happen. And we're gonna keep rocking and rolling, man. So
hey, John, we got one more coffee and donut from Detective Nolan. Hey, Nolan, thank you so much, man. We appreciate your generosity. And he says, for another $100. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Just because Sid Rosenberg is pissed, LOL. Hey, shout out to you, Nolan. Thank you so much for the coffee and donuts. We really appreciate it, brother. Whatever your beef is going on, we don't care. But Sid Rosenberg.
Now I gotta listen to this douchebag show to hear what he said about us.
Hey, listen, Sid.
There'll be a video coming for you, Sid.
Yeah. Hey, Sid Rosenberg's got to do something about that, man. His face is so red. It's ridiculous. What are you doing, man? He looks like a cartoon character now.
He says Botox. He's
gone too far with that Botox and the redness in his face, man. What are you doing? And I think he was a better looking guy before he did all this stuff. Honestly, I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, I think he's better looking now. He shaved his head. Everybody likes bald, ugly guys, bro. So we're in that same level. So I won't talk shit about the way he looks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's all good.
Commentary, but being bald and ugly, bro, that's a fetish. Some people are into it. Some people aren't. I personally think that bald and ugly is handsome. I think that's the new heartthrob.
Modern Samurai for $10, coffee donuts. Here we go. It says for John to grow a ponytail. Dude, none of us are growing ponytails. My hair, if I grow too long, goes curly. Forget about it. John, you sure
I could get a ponytail. My side of my hair grows. I just won't have any hair up top, but I could grow I could get the ponytail, remember the 80s car salesman?
Like the 80s samurai.
Like the 80s car salesman. I'll slick it back. I'll slick the sides, and then I'll have a ponytail. Wear Hawaiian shirts.
Oh, man. I guess we're still going to have to do a shirtless podcast one day here.
Appreciate all you guys. Appreciate all the love. And but yeah, do us that favor. Like, share, subscribe. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Anything before we run, Eric?
No, that's enough. I think I'm tapping out. It's 3 hours and 8 minutes. That's enough. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate it. Antihero. Guys, awesome stuff, man. Welcome here anytime. Friends and listeners, we love you. Haters, thanks for being a fan.
Last thing. I forgot.
More.
I forgot. It's been in the back of my head all day. I only got 1 cup of mushroom coffee today. I didn't get up for my second one today, which is, I'm struggling right now. I need it. Rob, I think, is on vacation. I don't know where Rob, where are you? I meant to ask you that earlier. Where are you? But
Rob is out on a 6-mile run right now.
Yeah. Rob is not one of those Chiefs that couldn't tie his shoes,
Rob's in good shape, man. Rob's in good shape.
Yeah, Rob's in great shape. Definitely role model, dude. Absolute role model. So good for you, brother. Enjoy wherever you're doing. So he's out tonight. Ron's going to be sitting down with former Deputy Inspector Allison Esposito, former running mate for Lieutenant Governor of Lee Zeldin. So that should be a pretty interesting interview. Curious to see what she's got to say. I think she ran for Senate after that, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember. It's like this, everybody's constantly running and doing things, but that should be a good interview. I'm going to be in the chat because I'm going to ask her. I'm curious where she was on the whole COVID thing too. I'm curious because I didn't hear you, and I was a supporter of the Zeldin camp. I was. Yeah, but I think it's going to be a good interview. I'm excited to hear that interview. So join us tonight, 5:05 p.m. Check out Ron and Inspector Esposito.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. Yeah, thank you, everyone. We'll see you on Friday. Finest Unfiltered, baby. Appreciate it.
There's a handful of retired officers that don't live in the state that have a lot to say about the dream team, as I like to call it. All of a sudden, they retire and have a master plan on how to fight crime, but nothing to contribute when they were here. They want to come back and be part of the dream team. What can I say?